How dare you, Zhong Wuji? How dare you, Zhong Wuji? He looked down on everyone else. At this moment, it was the attitude displayed by Long Fei. How dare you, an existence as insignificant as an ant, speak to us like that? If it wasn't for the fact that there are some matters that require your explanation, you would already be a dead man. I advise you to kneel down obediently and tell me everything you know. Otherwise, hee. In the middle of the air, the silhouettes of 7 experts could be seen flashing about as a tyrannical power emanated from their bodies. Shua shua shua. In an instant, the figures of the 3 descended in front of Long Fei. Kneel. One of them said. Goop. Suddenly, an incredibly strong pressure was emitted from his body. Long Fei felt his soul shake, and was about to fall down. Fuck, playing dirty? Long Fei was startled, the spirit chi on his body stirred, the spirit chi on his body erupted, and he immediately rushed forward. Even every nerve cell in his body also burst forth with power. He had forcefully pushed this kind of pressure away from his soul. He actually blocked it. Real face has underestimated you, but ants are still ants. If I tell you to kneel, you have to kneel. Kneel before real face. The man stepped forward and pressed his right hand down. Immediately, an indescribably powerful force descended. It was like his soul was being crushed as he directly launched an attack towards Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes tightened, all the cells in his body started to move. If it was simply the pressure exuding from his body, Long Fei would have no qualms. As for his soul, although he had been baptized by the power of the other side after crossing the other side, it was mostly focused on his physical body. Only a portion of his soul had been cleansed. Facing this sort of pressure, it was very difficult for him to resist. They could only split their bodies and reconstruct their cells. An even more tyrannical power was unleashed from the other side of the river, expelling this power. Even so, he could still feel a faint soul-tearing strength. And Long Fei, at this time, also clearly saw this person's attribute. A heavenly jewel master, divine earth origin energy, boss, supreme earth origin, attributes, gives the power of earth origin, dispatches the power of earth element in the endless plane of ancient world. Health, 99999999999 defense, 99999999999 heaven-defying health, heaven-defying defense. Long Fei's heart trembled. He never thought that this boss had such an history. It was actually an existence that was bestowed upon him by the heavens. No wonder this power can give me so much pressure. It's bestowed upon me by the heavens. Haha, we've really struck it rich this time. Long Fei was not alarmed. He didn't feel any pressure from this kind of power. Instead, he was extremely excited. The power of earth was the power of the 5 elements. If he could obtain this kind of power, his 5 elements sword's baleful power would definitely be raised by a level. Thinking about it, Long Fei's eyes lit up. When he looked at the boss in front of him again, he saw that it had turned into greediness and saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth. The Earth Origin stage cultivator's eyes trembled. He was scared out of his wits by Long Fei's stare. Of course, that was not the main reason. Most importantly, Long Fei had actually broken free from his suppression. He can actually break free? The expression on the face of the Earth Origin Grandmaster grew colder and colder. They were all experts of the divine plane. Right now, Long Fei, who was only at the first level of the super-perfection, was actually able to destroy the power he unleashed twice, over and over again. This caused him to be instantly enraged in his heart. In all the planes of the heavens, the Earth Origin suppression, the Earth Origin stage cultivator was infuriated, not wanting to lose face in front of these people. Immediately, he used his own strength to suppress Long Fei. Rumble, 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 rumble. Suddenly, countless amounts of Earth-attributed energy came surging over from all directions. The earth and yellow energy surged out and covered the entire space. It was as if endless yellow sand was dancing in the air. In the end, it condensed into a giant palm. It crashed down. It was also at this moment that Long Fei suddenly stood up and punched out with a loud bang. Is that enough? If this daddy doesn't help, do you really think I won't have a temper? If it wasn't for the fact that you're the boss, I would have killed you with one punch. Long Fei bellowed. At this moment, his fist had already struck out. This punch was completely different from before. In the previous region, Long Fei's punch was only a casual attack. Now, this punch of his used up all the power in his body. Boom! Boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The two powers collided in the void. In the blink of an eye, a deafening explosion sounded out. Under this kind of impact, Long Fei's figure flew out. His entire body seemed to have collapsed. Damn, is that strong? Long Fei focused his gaze and remained silent. When he was still only at the 6th level of the almighty ancient times, he had already exposed the fact that he was about to ascend to the divine throne, the Tianyun city's master, Jiyu Xingdao. Therefore, he took it for granted and believed that even if the heavenly jewel master was a boss, he wouldn't be that strong. But now, he had no choice but to admit it. He had still underestimated the other party. This kind of explosive power actually made him feel boundless pressure. On the other side, the Earth Origin Stage cultivator was not much better off either. Long Fei's fist strength, although said to be invincible. But in this ancient world, he was similarly a top-notch existence. The destructive power of this attack was even more violent than that of Einherjar Wannabe and Einherjar Wannabe. As such, in this clash, the Earth Origin Stage cultivator was sent flying by Long Fei's punch, and was sent flying backwards. The top of his head began to turn red. Long Fei dealt 9999999 damage with one punch. However, with his 99.9 billion HP and defense, this sort of damage was nothing to him. However, in the end, he was still injured. Real face is going to kill you. How many years has it been? How many years has it been since I was injured? Today, I must use your life to wash away the real face's shame. Supreme Earth was infuriated. In his berserk state, he attacked once again. Long Fei was also extremely confused. Long Fei had expected that the punch just now would be able to explode the Earth Origin Stage cultivator. However, it was completely unexpected. The damage was negligible. Unscientific. Too unscientific. I don't believe that I can't kill you. Long Fei clenched his teeth. 2nd level Buddha, Demon Ox boxing style, instant attack. Boom. 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 The two people's powers clashed in the air once again. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The endless earth attribute energy and Long Fei's berserk power exploded out once again, rumbling through the air. Boom. Asterisk at this moment, the two began to engage in close combat, clashing again and again. It went berserk. Of course, the onlookers could not see the battle between the two of them. Even though the other few people were all from the divine thrones, they could not see the battle at all. It's over, Earth Elemental has been too rash this time. That's right. If we accidentally kill this kid, how are we supposed to explain this to the Lord of Chaos? Just wait a bit. No matter what, we are still Heaven's giants. This boy looks down on everyone, so no matter what, we should at least give him a lesson. And at this time, the profound light between heaven and earth finally disappeared. The few of them also looked over. The heck, how thick is your tortoise shell? Why can't you penetrate it? Long Fei's voice suddenly came out. In the blink of an eye, the entire world grew silent. In the blink of an eye, the entire world grew silent. The remaining 6 people all looked calm at this moment. All the ease and jokes were gone in an instant. This is unbelievable. Even I suspect that what he said is true. Maybe the people from the 2nd region have all died. Maybe even the members of our Chaos Palace have died. The few of them conversed as they stared at the void. And at this time, Long Fei's figure appeared. His hair was disheveled and his face was covered in sweat. However, it did not cause any real damage. On the other hand, Supreme Earth had already been beaten black and blue all over his body. His spirit was dispirited. But similarly, there was no danger to his life. Boy, you're playing with fire. Real Face swears that he will definitely kill you today. As the Earth Origin Stage cultivator spoke, his killing intent soared to the heavens. Stop boasting. Don't you see what kind of spanking sex you are right now? If not for that layer of shell on your body that was bestowed by the heavens, it would have been destroyed by me long ago. Long Fei said in disdain. This power also made Long Fei's balls hurt. This was the first wave of battle. Long Fei used all of his strength and pushed his physical strength to the limit as he used all sorts of different methods to attack. Except for the mortal life Great Palm. He used the rest of his power. However, he had only lost less than a third of his health. For a moment, Long Fei was a little nostalgic of the power of the crazy god. Ultimate skill still lacks a trump card. The Hand of Mortal Life is awesome, but unfortunately, it costs too much. It's not even worth losing a boss. This time, there are 7 bosses. The system will definitely burn them for me. Long Fei thought as he looked at Supreme Earth Origin once again. At the same time, the other 6 figures also approached. Earth Origin, how are you? I didn't expect that this time, we were wrong. This boy is not simple at all. But don't worry. Once we get what we want, this guy will not be able to escape death either. As they spoke, they helped him up. However, at this moment, none of them showed any signs of ridicule. Long Fei's performance made them all raise their eyebrows, and they couldn't help but pay close attention. And at this time, Long Fei's eyes were also somewhat heavy. He looked at the 6 of them. He was exhausted after just being the master of the Earth Origin realm. If the 6 of them were to attack together, even if they were exhausted, they probably wouldn't be able to do anything. No, I absolutely cannot let him off. The power within him, if he were to reveal it, it will definitely allow me to take another step forward. We must kill them all no matter the cost. Also, if they want to break into the Primal Chaos Palace, they'll have to die because of that. Long Fei's thoughts raced as he made his decision in an instant. At the same time, Supreme Earth struggled to his feet. There's no need, just leave this kid to me. Today, I must let him know what a heavenly gift is. But don't worry. I definitely won't kill him. When the time comes, I'll just hand him over to the Lord of Chaos. As he spoke, a maniacal look appeared on his face. Then, the Earth Origin Stage cultivator attacked again. Myriad Realms returning source, explode. The Earth Origin Stage cultivator shouted. In the next instant, the entire world changed color. Become a Lurse world. Endless wind and sand filled the air, and the ground was covered with dirt. As it crazily circulated, it turned into a 9-story tower. Long Fei was startled, and stared dumbfoundedly at the power that had descended from the sky. Damn, the power of faith has been brewing. The platform of the 9th level originated from plagued Earth. From the tiring Earth to the stage, it was an accumulation of faith. At this moment, the energy unleashed by the Earth Origin Stage cultivator was exactly this. An incomparable amount of energy surged forth. It was as if endless amounts of faith energy had been gathered there. It was like saying that all the senses that rested within the living beings of the land were incomparably surging and violent. In a split second, Long Fei's eyes moved horizontally as the power in his hands erupted. This time, even Long Fei was prepared to go all out. If the emancipation wheel is still there, a millstone should be able to kill him. What a pity. Now we can only go all out. Long Fei pondered. His eyes were filled with determination. It was also at this moment that the power of the Earth Origin Grandmaster finally descended. Whoosh! The intense power caused Long Fei to feel extremely oppressed, as though there was a huge mountain pressing down on him. This was especially the case for the power of faith, which made Long Fei feel that he was being ungrateful when he was going against revered Thoughtful. It was the same as disobeying the rules of existence. It was as if 1,000 fingers were pointing at him. The power of faith formed and countless voices reprimanded him, hacking at his mind. In an instant, Long Fei felt extremely irritable. It was as if his mind had been disintegrated by this power, and his entire aura became extremely chaotic. Ha ha ha, little bastard. You dare to injure me? Why don't you take a look at your cultivation? Are you able to go against the will of the heavens? Let me suppress it. In the void, High Lord Earth Origin became even more violent and wild. Seeing that Long Fei's emotions were messed up, she was extremely pleased. But just at that moment, the chi on Long Fei's body changed. His aura shook, and his blood energy soared to the sky. All the negative emotions were suppressed in an instant. This change stunned even Long Fei. He had not expected this at all. Originally, he was in the midst of going berserk, and wanted to use the mortal life Great Palm to directly suppress it. Suddenly, a berserk energy exploded from within his pubes. Suddenly, it erupted. It instantly floated within Long Fei's limbs and bones. Following the eruption of his strength, the energies of each and every one of his beliefs were immediately cleared up, and Long Fei instantly regained his clarity of mind. Ha ha ha, the power of the ruins. So it has always been on me. Ha ha ha, the strongest power. With this kind of power, you still won't die? Long Fei laughed crazily in his heart. With a move of his mind, he immediately placed all of this power into the palm of his hand. Then, he suddenly raised his head. Heaven's bestowal? Irreversible? I have to show it to you today. Not only that, your father will let you know today that the so-called divine throne in your father's eyes is nothing at all. Long Fei said coldly. At this moment, the face of the Earth Origin stage cultivator became even more enraged. Impudent. An existence as insignificant as an ant dared to defy the law. Let me suppress it. As the Earth Origin stage cultivator spoke, his power grew even more violent. But Long Fei did not dodge anymore. He then pointed his middle finger at Supreme Earth. Idiot. As he spoke, Long Fei's figure instantly shot into the sky like a divine being. A punch in the air. Endless power exploded. In the blink of an eye, the entire world seemed to come to a standstill as it instantly turned silent. Even the Earth Origin stage cultivator was stunned. Shock and horror filled his eyes. This. A mouth without words, his entire body trembling so hard that he could no longer speak. God damn, so what if I am bestowed this title by the heavens? Today, I want you to do the same to me. The most powerful force erupted, surging through the heavens and earth. The most powerful force erupted, surging through the heavens and earth. Inadvertently, the entire world turned dark. There was no more light. Under this force, everything went silent. It was like saying, in the face of such power, even the power of the heavens and earth must bow their heads before it. In fact, even if this region was a holy land of chaos and was created by the Lord of Chaos, it would still be the same. For a moment, only Long Fei was the only topic of discussion in the entire region. It was also at this time that Long Fei's fist arrived. Boom. The Earth Origin stage cultivator could not dodge in time and was struck. Soon after, strands of yellow gas began to dissipate. They began to disintegrate bit by bit. Rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. This punch was unparalleled in power, and there was no place for it to hide any of its power. Even with the defense of the Earth Origin stage cultivator, he only blocked for a split second. And then, it exploded. Boom! The fist landed, and for the first time ever, the most powerful force in the annihilated civilization was revealed. Ah! With a blood-curdling screech, he fell to the ground. After which, his aura began to dissipate. His vitality was weak. Yell. Isn't the position of hierarch awesome? Long Fei took a step forward with a face full of disdain. Didn't I know that a heaven's bestowal throne is irreversible? Is that it? Was I stepped on? Long Fei said indifferently. Extremely contemptuous. Brat. Don't be too presumptuous. You must know that this is the Primal Chaos Palace. The Lord of Primal Chaos is comparable to, or even more powerful than, the Emperor Xian. Do you dare to not respect him? I advise you to stop when the time is right and not to cause yourself any trouble. Venerable Earth Origin heaved a sigh of relief as he spoke harshly. Even now, he was still unwilling to give in. You're still so awesome. Do you think the 6 of them can protect you? Or could it be that your father is afraid of the Lord of Chaos? Long Fei was startled. The rage in his heart raged. He had never thought that the Earth Origin Stage cultivator would still be so arrogant at this point in time. At the same time, the remaining 6 people also flew into a rage. Impudent boy. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you have a few tricks up your sleeves. Our strength is not something you can imagine. If you kneel down and beg for mercy now, you will still have a chance to live. Otherwise. 3 more people spoke out, their faces filled with incomparable arrogance. Before this, they had also felt the kind of explosive power that came from Long Fei, and it was extremely berserk. However, they had a mission on them, so they could not let Long Fei go. Furthermore, they had already gotten used to being the masters of countless years. It was simply intolerable for them to act so arrogantly in front of them. However, it was this decision that pushed them directly into the abyss of death. Then, he looked at Long Fei. He still had a look of disapproval. Impudent. There are retards every year, and there are even more this year. She always thinks that she is superior. Then today, I will drag you down from the altar as well. The power of the realm of the ruins, explode. He shouted loudly. Long Fei's legs suddenly sank as he stomped his foot. The Earth Origin Stage cultivator's body instantly exploded. There was no chance for him to recover, and he directly shattered into hundreds of pieces. Blood splattered everywhere. And because of this, Long Fei did not stop his footsteps. He turned his attention to the void above him. Another punch. Brat, you. The person that Long Fei had locked onto was wearing a red robe. Planar flame, combust. The quintessence of the 5 elements fire, hierarch fire. Venerable flaming origin, supreme flame. So it really is the power of the 5 elements. Just nice, feed a skill to your father. Die for me. Boom. Ruumbel. Long Fei's eyes were firm and determined, his body penetrating through the endless heavenly fire. Punches after punches, continuously punching out. Pa 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 pa. One after another, dispersed the flames. Moreover, every time the flames dissipated, a roar of rage would come from the fire venerable one. Boy. Boom. I'll fight it out with you. Bang bang. No, don't kill me, I was wrong. Sire, stop. Let me go. I'll follow you in the future. I am a heaven's gift hierarchy, a venerable flaming essence master. I can help you with your alchemy, forge weapons, and kill people. Venerable flame fairy's pleas for mercy continued to ring out in the fiery light. Alchemy forging? Lousy knows how, what's the use of asking you? If you can help me live and cook, I can spare your life. Long Fei said coldly. They were ridiculing him. Once, what did it matter if you were on top of the altar? Now, it was the same. He had to crawl down like a dog and beg for mercy. No matter what, Long Fei would not let him off. But what Long Fei didn't expect was that he would say it so casually. Venerable Flame Fairy seemed to have grabbed onto the last straw of hope as he quickly replied, Right, I can cook for you, spare me. Long Fei. Long Fei was stunned. He really wanted to ask, do you want to humiliate yourself? Do you have any moral integrity left? That arrogant appearance from before, was he serious? But unfortunately, no matter how the other party performed, Long Fei would not let them off. I'm sorry, but I've already prepared a meal for you. You can start a fire to cook and keep it for yourself on the path to the Yellow Springs. You can share. Die. Boom. Boom. As Long Fei said this, he released the ultimate punch that directly hit the center of the flame. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the flames dissipated. However, the figure of the venerable flaming origin was directly turned into dust and disappeared without a trace under this power. This scene caused the faces of the remaining people to flicker. Not a single person made a sound. Long Fei's strength had broken their understanding of power. He didn't even dare to imagine that this person was at the peak of the first level of Paragon. He had actually killed them. Who the hell are you? What kind of power is this? Sir, what are you trying to do? The few of them spoke with looks of terror on their faces. Towards Long Fei and the others, they had already developed fear. He couldn't be arrogant at all. There was even terror and weakness in his voice. He was afraid that if he were to be too arrogant, he would anger Long Fei and take the lead of Supreme Earth and Venerable Fire Source. Long Fei looked over, his eyes still filled with limitless light. The awakening of that power caused Long Fei to feel extremely calm in his heart. As invincible as I am. He was truly looking down on this region. What heavenly jewel masters, what venerable ones, they were all dog shit. In Long Fei's eyes, it was just a boss. As for facing the boss, Long Fei was even less willing to say anything. In an instant, Long Fei's gaze locked onto another person. His figure moved as he said, "I'm your father. What do you want?" "To clean up the family, of course." "Die." Without wasting any words, Long Fei soared through the sky and attacked with lightning speed. The punch came crashing down once more. Water of the plane, suppress. This was the water Venerable One. However, these limitless torrents of water were simply unable to stop Long Fei from moving forward. Boom. The moment his figure landed, the shadow of his fist exploded forth. Next. Puff. No. The whales filled the entire area. But unfortunately, it was still irreversible. Long Fei's figure stood proudly, not the slightest bit moved. Even slaying 3 powerhouses who were bestowed divine thrones did not seem to be a burden to Long Fei at all. As for the remaining 4, they turned around and left at this moment. He didn't want to stop for even a minute. Madman, this is a madman. I'm afraid there has been a mistake this time. Hurry up and inform the Lord of all Fiends to have the Lord of all Fiends handle this. Yes, this child is too strange. It might be the Emperor Xian's method, so we cannot fight him head-on. The few of them advanced madly. The endless power of the metal spear, the endless power of the verdant wood sword, the endless golden light of the great sun, the endless gentle moonlight. It was the exact same as the 4 of them. At that instant, none of them dared to hold anything back. Instantly, they used their most secret methods. Their only goal was to escape. Unfortunately, Long Fei would never give them the chance to do so. With the boss strength, he could then let the boss escape into thin air. Long Fei would not do such a thing. Instantly, Long Fei stopped in his tracks. Great hand seal of the mortal life, rise. Boop. Long Fei's right hand moved, covering the sky and the earth as boundless will of the mortal life immediately converged into a giant golden palm, filling the entire area. And then, he gently clenched his fist. It was as if the entire area was being controlled. It was as though he could cover the sky with one hand. Boom. 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 Venerable Jin, Venerable Mu Yuan, Venerable Sunlight, and Venerable Moonlight. The power of the 4 instantly bounced back as if they had hit a transparent barrier. Run! Has Laozi allowed it? Each and every one of you, the mighty hierarch. Aren't you trying to make me wish I was dead? I thought you wanted to force your father to confess. Why are they running now? Long Fei said. Disdain and ridicule could be seen on his face. Misunderstanding, Your Excellency, this is a misunderstanding. Yes, it is a misunderstanding. With your capabilities, you will definitely be ranked below the Primal Chaos Palace. How could the people below the top 10,000 possibly care about the trials of the Primal Chaos Palace? Yes. It's our misunderstanding, and there are already 3 people who have paid the price for our mistakes. From now on, we are all one of your dogs. If I were to follow you, we wouldn't even need to put the Lord of Chaos in our eyes. The few of them were extremely flattering, without any hint of the dignity of a powerhouse. In order to survive, even the Lord of Primal Chaos was no longer in his eyes, and he held Long Fei in the utmost respect. However, these actions were completely useless. A boss's greatest value was obviously killing him. Therefore, just when they were waiting for Long Fei to forgive them, their faces filled with longing. Long Fei just ignored him and snorted. He attacked again. Boom. Instantly, the Sun Venerable One was flipped over by Long Fei's fist and blasted into the air. Boom! 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 Immediately, the Sunlight Doyen's body exploded under Long Fei's pressure, turning into a huge sun that illuminated the sky. Ah, kid, you forced me to do this. If you want me to die, no one will be better off. In the middle of the great sun, an angry roar could be heard. Long Fei was startled. Indestructible primordial spirit, entrusted to the great sun? Then let me see if I can protect you well this day. Long Fei said coldly. With his current strength, even if he were to enter the real sun, he would not be afraid. If he wanted to, he could blow up the sun with one punch. Therefore, how could he allow Long Fei to leave in the great sun that was right in front of his eyes? At the same time, the great solar light suddenly exploded. It was just like what the hierarch Sunlight himself had said. Self-detonation. Boom! Boom. A huge boom echoed out, shaking heaven and earth. Instantly, the entire space became empty. The power of the Sunlight Doyen's self-detonation filled the space, turning it into a dazzling white light. And Long Fei's figure had also been submerged within. Venerable Jin, Venerable Mu Yuan, and Venerable Moonlight were all in shock. In their terror, they carefully moved closer to each other. Dead. He should be dead. Even the Lord of the Chaos might not be able to withstand the explosion of sunlight. Although this boy is strong, he will absolutely not be able to survive. What a pity about the daylight. Right now, we should leave this place as soon as possible and tell the Lord of Chaos what happened here. The voices of the three were weak and their minds were still in a state of shock. As their gazes met, they prepared to leave. However, in the next moment, fury and unwillingness appeared on their faces once again. This was because the entire space was still tightly sealed by a pair of golden palms. They couldn't escape at all. No. Why? Why? Why is it that when other people die, the means are still there? Impossible. Just what happened? Their faces were filled with panic. Their gazes locked on the place that was submerged by the sunlight once again. In an instant, a terrifying guess formed in their hearts. That was, Long Fei was not dead. All of a sudden, their gazes met, and all of them could see the horror in each other's eyes. At the same time, a loud sound echoed through the air. They just saw Long Fei's figure slowly walking out of the center of the light. Boom! Boom. Long Fei pulled with both of his hands, ripping apart the endless sunlight. F***ck, so dazzling. Long Fei strolled through the courtyard, rubbing his eyes. He looked at the three people in front of him who were dumbstruck. The corners of his mouth raised, as he changed the topic, and said, "What, I'm not dead. Am I particularly disappointed? But it doesn't matter. In any case, none of you will be able to escape. Next, you." Long Fei said coldly, as if he was a judge who, with his words, directly ruled over their lives. In an instant, Honorable Guyi of the Moonlight, who had been locked on by Long Fei, backed off. Streaks of soft cloud light surged from his body, forming many different types of attacks. Shua shua shua, moonlight shone down like a blade, one blade landing on Long Fei's body. However, it was useless. Long Fei's physical body was extreme heaven on the other side of the river. His physical body had been quantified, and even the pressure from the other shore's ruins realm was unable to destroy Long Fei's flesh body. At most, it would only stop Long Fei for a moment. And Long Fei's fist exploded with a bang in the midst of this endless moonlight. Boom. The moonlight-honored warrior looked extremely unsatisfied. He suddenly turned his head and put all his strength into defending against Long Fei. But it was of no avail. The power of the Sun Venerable One could not stop Long Fei. The same goes for him. Boom! Boom. A punch swept across and destroyed the spiritual altar of the Venerable Moonlight. In a split second, in the midst of intense dissatisfaction, the Venerable Moonlight had lost all signs of life. As for Long Fei, he did not stay behind either. The system did not give any hints on how to kill the boss. It was as if they were waiting for Long Fei to kill all 7 of them before replying in unison. Therefore, at this moment, Long Fei made his move again, instantly attacking the remaining 2 people. Boom! The punch was directed at the top of Jin Yuan's head, and the blood trace instantly appeared on the top of his head. There was no time to dodge at all. He was directly blown to smithereens. Following that, another fist was thrown at Venerable Mu Yuan. It was clean, and without any fancy colors. It was clean, and without any fancy colors. In Long Fei's case, it was tough. Violence. If it was something that could be resolved with a single punch, he definitely wouldn't make a move a second time. Jin Yuan and Mu Yuan, the 2 of them had a line of blood on the top of their heads and their bodies continued to fall back. You. Jin Yuan felt endless hatred in his eyes, looking straight at Long Fei, the hatred in his eyes soared to the skies. What is it? Yet, you still refuse to accept it. In your eyes, aren't all the people in this world like ants? Isn't it great to call yourself an ant or a piece of trash? What? You're not calling me now? Long Fei said coldly. He could not stand people who thought themselves above all others. I admit it. As long as you release me, I am willing to give up my power that was bestowed by the heavens to help you achieve your goal. Spare me. Jin Yuan Zun immediately lost his temper and looked at Long Fei pleadingly. By his side, Mu Yuan had already let go of his arrogance. Prostrate on the ground, directly kneeling in front of Long Fei, Lord, spare me. Me too. I am willing to give up my divine power. I only hope to keep my life. Mu Yuan said. Long Fei snorted coldly, in complete disdain. Begging for mercy? Impossible, in this daddy's world, I definitely won't let go of any boss. Kill them all. Long Fei shouted as he clenched his fists. Then, he directly threw it out. And following the actions of Long Fei, the blood of the 2 had, in this instant, completely disappeared. The 2 of them immediately perished. Whoosh! Long Fei panted heavily. Just as he was about to get up, he suddenly felt the strongest power in his body go silent again, and completely disappear into Long Fei's body. Even Long Fei couldn't feel it. What's going on? Could it be that this power also has its own consciousness? Long Fei suddenly thought. But no matter what, he couldn't understand. Helpless, Long Fei could only give up. At the same time, the system's voice suddenly appeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for defeating Earth Origin Stage Cultivator. You have obtained 100 million experience points, 100 million holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! 7 echoes in a row was all experience. F***CK, are you kidding me? Long Fei was startled. His face was extremely gloomy. He had never expected such a result. F***CK. Your father's most powerful strength has been used up and I've used up all my experience to create the mortal life palm. Are you F***King going to give me that experience? Are you serious? Long Fei was furious, and retorted fiercely. Regarding the system's unpredictable operation, he was completely speechless. It was this uncontrollable nature that caused Long Fei to have a temper that was useless. Because you can't figure it out. Sometimes, one's heart would be overjoyed from the violence, and sometimes, one's heart would be like dying embers. Completely speechless. But after spending so much, just giving him the experience, how could Long Fei be willing to give it up? Instantly, Long Fei's pupils contracted as he coldly said, "Berserk. Must go berserk." There was no other option. Originally, when Long Fei saw these 7 bosses, he wanted to get their hands on his inherent skill. Even though he already had the most power. However, he was still unable to fully control this power. It was as if they had suddenly erupted and then suddenly quieted down. It was as though not making a move depended entirely on one's own strength, and was not something he could control. Relatively speaking, if the system were to unleash its power, it would be much simpler and more brutal. This allowed Long Fei to handle the situation with ease. Although Long Fei knew that the more he used the power of the system, the more he would be tied down. In the future, if he entered this higher plane, it would be easier for the other party to control him. But now, the strong enemy was on his side. If the Emperor Xian does not die, the Lord of the Primal Chaos will not perish. Long Fei felt as if he was stuck in a hole in his throat, as if he had just eaten a piece of cake and was extremely disgusted. Therefore, Long Fei immediately let go of his worries. No matter what, he had to solve this problem. At the same time, the system's voice also appeared. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the power of the Earth's origin. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the power of Fire Source. Ding! Ding! Congratulations player, you have obtained the power of the heavenly gift Wood origin. And also at this time, following Long Fei's berserk command, the striking system finally gave a satisfactory answer. The power of 7 heavenly gifts had all exploded out. Ha ha ha, as expected. 7 strengths, not a single one is lacking. Then the next step is to turn this power into my own. Long Fei fixed his gaze as he thought. But before he could even react, the system's voice once again came from beside Long Fei's ears. Ding! Discovered can swallow ignorance. Ding! Metal origin force devoured. Ding! The wood elemental energy has been devoured. Ding! There was a series of silence as all 5 elements were absorbed. Long Fei immediately frowned, he felt as if he had been tricked. Through the system, he had already understood that the source of devouring this kind of power was none other than the 5 elements sword and baleful qi. Originally, the reason why Long Fei needed the 5 elements source energy was to reform the 5 elements sword and level up his skill. It could be used by the system on its behalf. It gave Long Fei a feeling that he was being controlled by the system. This feeling made Long Fei extremely unhappy. However, although he was unhappy, Long Fei was still unable to interrupt the system. Ding! Successfully merged. Congratulations player, skill leveled up. 5 elements sword kill, upgraded to 5 elements heaven shrouding palm. Skill, 5 elements heaven shrouding palm. Attributes, suppression, annihilation level, high. Description, this skill is a supreme skill with special attributes. Every fusion of its ultimate powers can trigger a fatal attack, allowing it to ignore levels and kill everything in its path. The system's notification sound rang out. Long Fei was completely dumbstruck. Then, a wild laugh rang out. Ha ha ha, ultimate skill. 5 elements shrouding the heavens. Awesome. System, awesome. Only these 2 words can express my reverence towards you. In terms of strength, if you acknowledge someone else as your number 2, no one can recognize you as number 1. Long Fei laughed loudly. All of his unhappiness vanished as soon as he saw the description. He directly leveled up to the highest level skill, and it could even trigger the kill attribute. What's so bad about disregarding levels? And an extremely awesome scene also appeared in Long Fei's mind. With the sun at the top and the moon at the back, he covered the sky with one hand. Who could compare to this type of appearance? Ha ha ha, acting tough is a good weapon. In the future, see who's in a bad mood, I'll suppress you with a single palm. Emperor Xian, Lord of the Chaos, let's see how you die this time. Long Fei thought coldly in his heart. Once the killing technique was unleashed, Long Fei's confidence rose greatly. He had been wary of her previously. Then now, he didn't have to worry about anything. With that thought, Long Fei's gaze began to look up into the sky. This level had already been destroyed. Was no longer interested in the assessment and promotion. If he were to continue walking forward step by step, he wouldn't feel as good as he did now. Just one word, dry. Now that the boss has appeared on this level, I'm afraid if I take one more step I'll be able to enter the Chaos Palace. This way is also good. We can first finish off the Lord of the Primal Chaos and then finish off the Emperor Xian. Then, we can enter the center of the myriad realms. Lord of the Chaos, your father is here. Outside the primordial Chaos Palace, the figure of the Lord of all Fiends was beginning to grow uneasy. Outside the primordial Chaos Palace, the figure of the Lord of all Fiends was beginning to grow uneasy. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He looked down at the exam grounds with a burning gaze. These testing grounds were naturally his methods as well, separating them layer by layer. Layers of sky. They were not connected at all. Only those who passed the exam could trigger the methods he had left behind and enter the next level. And now, he could already feel that the ban in the third region had been triggered. This meant that those who met his requirements had already appeared. Ha ha ha, for the first stage, blood aura and the soul of the physical body, those who are able to be chosen by me are all unrivaled. From the battle strength of the second trial, the final 10 selected here prove that their battle strength is unrivaled. The most important thing is the last test, alchemy refining, and mastery of everything. For this person to be able to trigger my activation is definitely 1 in a million. Wait for him to appear and fuse with the supreme blood energy that I received before forging my war body. Who else can stop my grand plan? The Lord of all Fiends had a savage look on his face. Right at this moment, the space before his eyes suddenly began to ripple. Immediately after, a figure leapt out from within. Below, with the exception of the Lord of Chaos, everyone was extremely excited. He's here. This time, it's time for us to become the hegemons of the Chaos Palace. There's actually such a heaven-defying figure, and yet he meets all the requirements of the Lord of all Fiends. However, no matter how much of a genius you are, it's useless. In the end, you will become the true body of the Lord of all Fiends. Those from the primal Chaos Palace had arrogant looks on their faces as they waited. They knew the Lord of Chaos's plan, which was why they were using the name of accepting him in. He invented this unique Chaos Palace. Their goal was the Lord of Chaos's plan. Now, the harvest was finally coming. Suddenly, space itself was torn apart. It was completely out of their expectations. They didn't want to enter the space according to the rules they had set. It was a direct, violent tearing. A pair of hands tore apart the space between the two regions. He took a step forward. It was Long Fei. The instant he entered this area, the palace appeared before his eyes. And Long Fei had locked his gaze onto the Lord of Primal Chaos in the blink of an eye. Long Fei, it's actually you. The Lord of all Fiends was startled as well. He never would have thought that after going through so many examinations and entering the Primal Chaos Palace, the one who would appear in front of him would actually be Long Fei. It's lousy, is it that surprising? Long Fei sneered. Bastard go, I didn't think that you were actually still alive. You've survived until now. You came out to die. However, that's good too. Using your body to refine the strongest battle body, that's the most suitable. The Lord of Primordial Chaos was startled for a moment, but then his eyes began to glow with light. He had known this ever since Long Fei entered the unknown region of Primal Chaos. He had paid attention to every single change that had happened to Long Fei along the way, and had seen it all with his own eyes. The strength of his strength was simply perfect. That was why he had wanted to seize Long Fei's power back then on the Primal Chaos Mountain. However, everything was for naught. Because of this, he had planned to forge a battle body. However, Long Fei's sudden appearance caused the Lord of Primal Chaos to be overwhelmed with thoughts. No matter who it was, they couldn't compare to Long Fei. You want to kill me? That will depend on whether you have the right or not. Long Fei laughed coldly. He had come to the Chaos Palace to become the Lord of Primordial Chaos. He would not cower, and he could not cower. Just a word, dry. How dare you? It was at this moment that in front of the chaotic palace below, those who were loyal to the Lord of Primordial Chaos all began to explode with rage. Long Fei, right? You are too arrogant. How could you disobey the Lord of Primal Chaos? Today, this old man will let you know what it means to be awed by others. Die. An old man walked out from the crowd. He waved both of his hands and created a spear out of thin air. His battle-intent soared as he instantly broke through the horizon. Ju family? Long Fei's face turned cold. Needless to say anything else, he just threw a backhand punch. KCHA. Asterisk in an instant, the long spear broke, and without even the time to stab, it was directly smashed apart by Long Fei's fist. Even the people from the Ju family were not spared. In the midst of the shock, Long Fei's fist pierced through his chest. You. The Ju family's old man pointed at Long Fei in disbelief, his lips trembling, but he did not even finish speaking a word, and had directly killed all of them, ancient family? Your master has been killed by me. He still dares to jump out now? Long Fei said disdainfully as his gaze swept across the entrance of the primal chaos palace, full of slander. Ding. Congratulations on killing a Zhu family elder. You have obtained 10 million experience, 100,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. It was also at this time that the system beep appeared. Long Fei couldn't be bothered to care about him at all. Even a paragon. Now, in front of Long Fei, he could also kill him with a single punch. He was so poor that nothing would drop from him. He didn't even have the need to pay attention to what was happening. This was the rule of the game. And Long Fei, at this moment, was violently killing people, which instantly stirred up a riot in the entire Primal Chaos Palace. Everyone was shocked by Long Fei's actions. No one would have thought that Long Fei would actually dare to take the initiative and kill them. Has he gone mad? Truly audacious. Even in the Primal Chaos Palace, you still dare to harm someone? And what did you just say? That our noble family had already been killed by him in Master? What a huge joke. What a joke. Do you really think you are Emperor Xian? To utter such arrogant words. So what if you are Emperor Xian? It won't be long before he'll be living under Lord Primal Chaos's hands, breathing his last. Anger filled the air in front of the Chaos Palace. She scoffed at Long Fei. Completely despised. Even if Long Fei killed one of them, they would not be the least bit moved. I didn't expect that you, Lord of Chaos, would actually raise such a group of good dogs. However, relying on your power and influence, you can also score a scene for yourself. Trusted, that's what you call relying on manpower. If they can't be relied on, then they're just a bunch of idiots. Long Fei showed no mercy, pausing after each word was spoken. In fact, even the Lord of Primordial Chaos had been brought inside. At the same time, the Master of Chaos had a gloomy expression on his face. Frost covered it. Long Fei's punch caused his heart to be unable to calm down. With his realm, he could naturally tell with a glance that Long Fei's punch contained a berserk strength that even he would not be able to do with his physical body. Kid, you're courting death. He actually insulted us. Kill him. Immediately, a commotion broke out in front of the palace. All of them spoke out urgently, wanting to show off their power in front of the Lord of all Fiends. From beginning to end, the Lord of Chaos didn't speak. He did not stop them, nor did he attack Long Fei. Her eyes were only fixated on Long Fei. It seemed that he still wanted to probe further. And Long Fei, at this time, directly took a step forward. A dog that can bite, never bark. Since all of you want to kneel down and lick our bodies, this old man shall give all of you the chance to be completely loyal to the Lord of Chaos. Buddha seal, suppress. It was like a raging fire, vast and domineering. It was like a raging fire, vast and domineering. One pagoda after another descended from the sky. Every single one of them contained an absolute, crushing power. Long Fei's face was full of confidence. In regards to these people, they were at most people at the peak of the 9th stage of the super great complete realm. Long Fei did not care at all. Long Fei was extremely clear about the power of the Buddha seal. Before, when he was only at level 1, he could sweep away the platforms of the 2nd region. At that time, those people were at the 6th or 7th level of Xiantian lifeform. But now, his skills had leveled up. So what if he was at the 9th level of the Supreme Grand Perfection? One word, suppress. Su su su. In the blink of an eye, the light of the Buddha could be seen everywhere. Long Fei's figure immediately rose into the air, landing in the air above the Primal Chaos Palace as he stood with his hands behind his back, facing the clear sky. Lord of the Chaos, you nearly killed me when I plotted against you, your father. Now, it's your turn. Long Fei said. When he had first entered the unknown ancient land, he had entered into a trap set up by the Lord of Primal Chaos, and had been led there. There were many crises, and if Long Fei did not have the system, he might have failed miserably. Now that he thought about it, Long Fei was filled with anger. More importantly, the Primal Chaos Emperor's plans might not be limited to the unknown. This was because he was the owner of the Jade Pendant. As for the Jade Pendant, It was given to him by his grandfather. This meant that the Lord of Chaos had long ago begun to lay out his plans. And this was what Long Fei could not tolerate the most. Mu Tianhe was not bad to him. Even if he used the entire Mu clan as the wager, he still had to fulfill it. This sort of thing was no longer as simple as being a benefactor. Rather, it was a form of blood veins restraint, to such an extent that even one's closest kin might not be able to achieve. Therefore, Long Fei would definitely not allow the Patriarch of Primal Chaos to have any influence on the Mu family. He already owed the Mu family too much. Long Fei, I have to say, you have truly amazed me. I know you have amazing potential, but I didn't expect you to grow so fast. It seems that you possess a power that is even more terrifying than Long Batian. Even Long Batian back then would definitely not be able to reach your level. Lord Primal Chaos spoke in a slow and unhurried manner, narrowing his eyes. In his eyes, it was obvious that he was greedy and wanted to take it for himself. At this moment, Long Fei wanted to kill him. He also wanted to seize Long Fei's chance. The atmosphere became extremely tense. Long Fei's pupils contracted as he looked at the Lord of Primal Chaos. Zhong Xian's heart sank. He could clearly sense that the instant the primordial chaos's master released his greedy gaze, the entire Chaos Palace began to change. It was as if Long Fei did not know of any other matter. Rumble. At the same time, the entire Primal Chaos Palace exploded. A huge pillar of blood-red light shot up into the sky. The Lord of all Fiends continued to stand proudly atop his throne. Endless amounts of blood energy, as though they were risking their lives, frenziedly poured into the Lord of Chaos's body. Instantly, Long Fei moved. The light of the sun and the moon rotated. One of them appeared above his head, releasing endless sunlight and forming a huge shield. As for the moonlight, it was gentle, shining down on Long Fei's back. 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm. Long Fei shouted. There was no hesitation. The first thing he did was use his ultimate skill. The Lord of Primordial Chaos wasn't an ordinary person, after all. Although he did not show the light of the boss, Long Fei believed that it was already beyond the norm for a normal boss. Not to mention anything else, just the change in front of his eyes was enough to make Long Fei feel pressured. F***ck, I've underestimated this kind of old fogey. An old man who doesn't die is a thief. As expected, strength is not just for show. As Long Fei thought about this, the heaven-shrouding palm began to gather in his hand before slamming down. It was at this moment that the Lord of Primordial Chaos finally made his move. In the blink of an eye, the endless blood energy turned into a huge bloody palm, rising from the ground. It just so happened to collide with Long Fei's palm strike. Rumble. Endless amounts of blood-red light shot up into the sky. The primordial chaos was completely covered up. This palm strike dyed the sky blood-red. Long Fei did not move, although he was shocked, but in this clash, he had to face it. Boom. The 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm descended. The power of the 5 elements traveled through the void, releasing a power that could shock the heavens and the earth. However, to Long Fei's surprise, the moment they clashed with the endless bloody aura, it was like a mud ball entering the ocean. He did not receive any substantial damage. One after another, the leaders of the Chaos Mag's heads began to flash with misses. Damn. This is also called a absolute skill. Long Fei's eyes opened wide, he could not believe what he had just seen. Instantly, Long Fei felt like he was being toyed with. Where was the promise to kill him? What about the ultimate skill? Why was it a game now? But now, there was simply no time for Long Fei to think about it. Right at this moment, endless blood energy surged out like a tornado. It formed a huge whirlpool, and devouring power erupted from it. Instantly, Long Fei's body tensed up. Endless pressure was falling on his body. Even his skin started to slightly expand. It was as if he was unable to withstand the power of the devouring power, and all of the power in his body started to surge forth. Ha ha ha, what a fool. Long Fei, I am known as the Lord of Primal Chaos. My actual body is Primal Chaos, formless and formless. No matter how formidable your strength is, how can it penetrate nothingness? Just you wait. In a short while, Your strength will be devoured by me, and then everything will be mine. Your body will also become my most powerful battle body. Ha ha ha, you are the perfect cauldron. The Lord of all fiends laughed wildly, his voice echoing throughout the world. And at this moment, Long Fei's heart sank even more. He had never imagined that the Lord of Primordial Chaos would have such an ability. However, at this moment, the stats of the boss suddenly appeared on the Lord of Chaos. Lord of the Chaos, High Lord level boss. Health. Defense. Damage. Description: possessing the chaotic body, releasing the power of chaos. Able to block attacks that are relatively weaker. Long Fei's breathing became more and more hurried. He was looking at the mech related to the Lord of Chaos. Zhong Xian was speechless. It was able to block out attacks that were based on raw strength. One sentence was enough to express everything. This proved that the current Long Fei simply had no way of breaking his opponent's defense. Oh my god, how can we fight like this? If even your ultimate technique is ineffective, then how the F*ck are we supposed to play? Long Fei was extremely speechless. He secretly thought that he had been too careless recently. He also believed too much in Long Batian's words. If it wasn't for what Long Batian had said previously, and if he could only resolve the crisis of the Lord of Primal Chaos by advancing to the absolute perfection stage, Long Fei would have made a plan this time. But now, it turned out. The first level of the supreme level was simply not enough. It couldn't even break the opponent's defense. That's not right. Suddenly, Long Fei was startled. Long Fei's expression became serious, and he suddenly thought back to what Long Batian had said back then. Long Fei's expression became serious, and he suddenly thought back to what Long Batian had said back then. At that time, everything that Long Batian had said was based on the fact that he possessed the God of Heaven madman. Empyrean God Berserk experts of more than 15 levels were capable of slaying enemies. And now, he didn't have the means to do so. Could it be that the Lord of Primal Chaos's cultivation is several levels higher than that of the Great Complete Realm? Long Fei made up his mind. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was to be true. There were different levels of honorary positions as well. Back then, the Celestial Emperor only had the cultivation of a High Lord. Furthermore, at that time, he would have to bow down before the Lord of Chaos. From this, it could be seen that the Lord of Chaos's cultivation base had already surpassed the ancestors, becoming an ancient and higher-ranked Dao sovereign. With a thought, Long Fei's mind quieted down. At this moment, he needed a method. It would activate the killing attribute of the 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm. Empyrean god priests also required a level 15 limit. However, he didn't need the heaven-shrouding palm. As long as he fused it with his tyrannical power, he would be able to kill others regardless of their level. Buddha seal? No way. The power of the ruins? Impossible. The great seal of the mortal life is also out of the question. Could he be using the inheritance power of the great emperor? Long Fei thought about each and every one of them, but he eliminated them all. It was impossible. The existence of these powers had a special meaning. If it wasn't for the irreversible situation, Long Fei definitely wouldn't want to use them. However, in this situation, Long Fei had to give up. Just at this time, when Long Fei was thinking about which kind of energy to fuse with the heaven-shrouding palm and trigger the killing attribute, a ray of light suddenly appeared in the system. And then, ding! Congratulations to player on obtaining God of Boundaries Blade. The system's voice appeared. Long Fei stared blankly with a completely dumbfounded expression. The reward of God of Boundaries Blade was precisely the reward that a mission to protect the Sun God Realm deserved. However, ever since he had returned to the ancient world, he had long since delivered the task reward of a divine Sunday. But the reward from protecting the Sun God Realm had only come to him today. If not for the system's sudden reminder, Long Fei would have already been suppressed by the primary objective of killing the Lord of Primal Chaos and the Emperor Xian. System, what's going on? Why is the reward only delivered now? Long Fei asked. His attitude was resolute. From the start of his cultivation until now, everything belonged to him. Long Fei would never miss this chance. Mist will cause liver pain. Not to mention, he was a huge monster now. There was no need to think too much about it. Just by looking at the degree of danger on the mission, one could guess the difficulty of the mission just by looking at the Emperor Xian's avatar. Therefore, one could imagine how terrifying the god of Boundary Blade was. However, the system remained silent. System, don't think that just pretending to be silent is enough. This is a bug. Your eyes are affecting the game's experience. Long Fei said repeatedly. At this time, the power of the Lord of Primal Chaos was in front of him, so Long Fei had to think of a way to condense this energy. Obviously, Long Fei's attention was on the system. There was no power that was more suitable for it than the power of the system. The products of the system were of the highest quality. Therefore, Long Fei trying to force the system into a corner right now required a strand of power. Players completing a quest is considered a special mission. The reward item is also the only one in the world. It was customized to fit a player, so that's why it took so much time. The system's voice appeared. This is your problem. What I want right now is compensation. If the system had given me the reward earlier, I might have been able to use some other method. I don't need to be so passive right now, Long Fei said. He didn't retreat a single step. However, the system fell into silence once again. Immediately, Long Fei was stupefied. Now, there was no time left for him to waste. The Lord of the Chaos's attack was about to arrive. The more time he wasted, the more danger he would face. Therefore, the system appeared to be more indifferent. Long Fei became more anxious. System, this is hegemony. If there comes a day when I am in the sovereign plane, I must react. You are blatantly playing a hooligan here. Long Fei continued. But just as his voice faded, the system beeped, ding, because of system malfunction, reward has been delayed. The player's branding stone will be compensated. After that, there was no response from the system. Long Fei's gaze was also fixated on the branding stone. Branding stone, one-time use item. Being able to brand the player's strength, in addition to the strength of the Ruins realm, the player's strength will also be a one-time use force. Seeing this, Long Fei's heart slightly settled. The system can indeed sense what is happening to me. Maybe there is a pair of eyes watching me from behind. That's why I'm giving you this compensation right now. Long Fei thought as his eyes narrowed. Soon after, a wave of cold chill emerged in Long Fei's heart. If his guess was true, then he and his woman. Thinking about it, Long Fei felt a burst of unhappiness in his heart. He thought that when the time came for him to clap, he would definitely isolate the system. What he didn't know was that in one of the control rooms of the Supreme Realm, a young man was looking helpless. What kind of idea is this? I'm an upright person. Who do you think would peep at you? The young man muttered to himself. Then, his eyes changed into an incomparably resolute look. Long Fei, come quickly. Your legendary path has just been walked. It seems Paragon also needs you to create a legend. I also believe that this day is not far away. The young man began to immerse himself again and started to code one after another. The scene turned back to Long Fei. At this time, Long Fei's mind had already returned to reality. Looking at the whirlpool that was already less than 300 meters away from him, his gaze was ice cold. Under this power, Long Fei's clothes were already torn apart, and his hairs stood on end. One by one, his pores had been opened, and traces of blood were being swallowed from each and every pore. Ha ha ha, Long Fei, you can't hide anymore. As long as I forge you, not only will I possess a chaotic body, but I will also possess a perfect body for battle. At that time, the universe will be my sole ruler. The Lord of all fiends began to laugh wildly. A sharp light flashed across his eyes. It was as if everything was under his control. It was as if nothing would change. Laugh. The hell with laughing. If anyone whose voice is louder could dominate the battlefield, then the crows would have covered the sky long ago. Long Fei let out a cold snort, and immediately took out the branding stone. And then, he directly struck the force of the Buddha seal onto the stone. In an instant, the entire stone shone brightly. How is this possible? What is this thing? The Lord of Primordial Chaos's voice shook as he spoke. At this moment, The Lord of Chaos was shocked. He looked at the branding stone in Long Fei's hands in disbelief. Of course it's the thing that killed you. Old thing, this time, I want to see who's going to die. Long Fei's voice went berserk through the sky. Long Fei's voice went berserk through the sky. His words were filled with killing intent. At the same time, cracks also erupted on the branding stone in his hand. Crack, crack, crack. The stone began to crack. However, with every appearance of a broken figure, the Lord of Chaos face grew darker. Replication of strength. The Lord of all Fiends growled. This method was too peculiar. He could even feel that this type of energy was extremely special. It was even more traceable to the source. It seemed to be a type of origin energy. Long Fei was also stunned. She did not expect the Lord of Primal Chaos to actually be able to guess the usage of the branding stone. However, even if he could guess, what could he do? Long Fei did not believe that the Lord of Primal Chaos would not die under this ultimate killing technique. Instantly, Long Fei moved both his hands, and the entire Chaos Stone broke apart. Following that, an aura with boundless suppression power surged through the world. Soon after, an illusory image of a pagoda stood between the heaven and earth. Immediately, Long Fei's heart thumped loudly. He was completely intimidated by this tower shadow. 7th level. This time, he imprinted the power of the pagoda. However, he never would have thought that the power imprinted would be even more powerful than the skills he currently controlled. Right now, he could only control 2 levels of the Buddha. But now, with the branding stone, he had broken through to the 7th level. Ha ha ha, 7th level of the pagoda. Awesome. The system's product is awesome. Long Fei laughed loudly in his heart. However, Long Fei was not too engrossed. After all, the important thing was. All of a sudden, Long Fei's eyes shook as he looked at the Lord of Primal Chaos. 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm, fuse. With a loud shout, Long Fei formed a hand into the sky and a giant palm that covered the sky appeared once again. The Lord of all Fiends was startled for a moment, but then he began to laugh loudly. The same trick again. It was useless just now. Do you think it can be used now? Idiot. How awesome did I thought your strength was? But who would have thought that it would be branded with a power that is completely useless? Long Fei, this time, you died. The Lord of Primordial Chaos spoke each word, his killing intent exploding forth. The dark vortex before him became even more violent. Even the Lord of Chaos was reduced to a bloody mess by the impact of the vortex. I die. Idiot. Long Fei said as he raised his head to look at the Lord of Primal Chaos. And then, under the crazed smile of the argument of chaos, he pushed the force that was imprinted in front of him into the void. Boop! In an instant, the 2 powers combined into one. And Long Fei would naturally not let go of this opportunity. His body soared up into the sky, directly into the void. The great sun was like fire, and the rotating crescent moon made Long Fei's figure look incomparably majestic. Simply put, it was something that he didn't want. And at this time, Long Fei directly controlled the heaven-shrouding palm. Now, who do you think died? Long Fei's voice was ice-cold and incomparably cold. Following that, his hands pressed down, directly pressing down on the heaven-shrouding palm. The Lord of Primal Chaos's brows slightly moved, but he still did not avoid the attack even after seeing how Long Fei attacked. Tempage. So what if the 2 types of energy are fused? If this seat says that you will die, then it means that you will die. The Lord of Primal Chaos disagreed with it, as he simply didn't believe that Long Fei could explode with power that could hurt him at all. He continued to control the vortex in front of him, sweeping it away. He wanted to swallow Long Fei up. However, right at this moment, the 2 types of power instantly fused into one. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The blood-red vortex stopped in its tracks, completely different from before. Back then, he had entered the sea like a mud pool. And right now, it was directly aiming at the core of the power. Hualala. In a flash, the vortex collapsed and the endless blood red instantly vanished into thin air. At the same time, the Lord of the Chaos's form reformed. However, his expression had completely changed. A flustered comparison. He wasn't as calm as he was before. No, that's not possible. I am the body of primal chaos, the power of the heavens and the earth. How can there be the power to harm me? Retreat! The Lord of all fiends shouted out in alarm, retreating backwards. This time, he was truly afraid. The reason he was so fearless, and even after witnessing Long Fei's methods at this meeting, he still did not put Long Fei in his eyes, the only fundamental reason was because of his body of primal chaos. He was able to ignore all attacks below his level. But now that this characteristic had been broken, Long Fei's strength had already exceeded the limits of this limit. It brought him a feeling of imminent death. How could he not panic under these circumstances? But how could Long Fei let the Lord of Primal Chaos off? The corners of Long Fei's eyes carried a tinge of malevolence, as well as the pleasure of taking revenge. Looking at the change in the Lord of Chaos's attributes, he felt extremely delighted in his heart. The palm strike landed on the Lord of Chaos's head, wiping out 100 million of his health. Fierce, ultimate is the ultimate. Long Fei was also secretly shocked in his heart. It had to be known that the palm had never landed on the primal Chaos Lord's body, but it was enough to cause such damage. If that palm were to land, it would be impossible for the Lord of Chaos to survive. Now, do you think that you will die or that I will die today? Long Fei said with a gloomy look in his eyes. He definitely had to kill the Lord of Primordial Chaos. Moreover, putting everything aside, this High Lord level boss would surely drop many more treasures. The more it exploded, the more confident Long Fei would be when facing off against the Emperor Xian. So, no matter what angle it was coming from, Long Fei had to kill him. Therefore, the more the Lord of Primal Chaos backed off, the more Long Fei pursued relentlessly. And under Long Fei's control, this 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm pursued even more furiously. Boom! Finally, the palm landed. Rumble. Rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Heaven and earth rumbled, as if this palm strike could cover the sky and destroy heaven and earth. Long Fei also quieted down at this moment, and stared deadly at the palm strike that covered the sky. He was certain that the Lord of all fiends had been struck by the shrouding sky palm. He could even see more than 13 numbers flying by in that instant. What did 13 numbers mean? Over 100 billion HP. No matter how powerful the Lord of Chaos was, he couldn't possibly have more than a few 100 billion health left, right? 1 breath of time. 2 breaths. 3 breaths. 3 breaths of time later, the strength of Long Fei's 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm also disappeared without a trace. As for the Lord of all fiends, he had disappeared as well. Below the palm imprint, there was only a pure aura of primal chaos. And just at this moment, a wave of evil chill suddenly came from behind Long Fei. Long Fei, you will die a horrible death. Next time, I will make you pay me back in full. I'll let you live a life worse than death. It was the Lord of Primordial Chaos. Long Fei's eyes changed slightly. When he raised his head, he saw a strand of primal chaos aura dissipating. He didn't die. Long Fei's mind was filled with suspicions. It was also at this time that the system beep suddenly appeared. Ding! Congratulations on defeating the Lord of Primal Chaos's body. You have obtained 5 million experience points, 5 million holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations on defeating the Lord of Primal Chaos's body. You have obtained 5 million experience points, 5 million holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player on obtaining source of chaos energy. Ding! Congratulations player obtained at the blood gathering pool. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining chaos armor. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the chaos battle sword. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the chaotic crown. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining skill in chaos domain. Do you wish to train with it? The system's voice next to Long Fei's ears was in a hurry. He went on a rampage. Long Fei's expression was also unsettled. Staring at the empty space, he came to a halt. He had never imagined that the Lord of Primordial Chaos would be able to survive after spending so much effort. He was speechless. Previously, he crippled the strength of 2 oxen and killed the Emperor Xian. It was just a clone. Now, it was the same. He even used his ultimate skill, only killing an essence body. He felt extremely disgusted. Ancient world's old monsters are indeed extraordinary. Every single one of them actually have methods. Even if I have to die, I can still live. How disgusting. Long Fei cursed in his heart, and continued to curse. However, these words were said for the system to hear. He actually managed to survive with his ultimate skill. A bit of a joke. However, this time, there was no response from the system. Long Fei also restrained his mind and looked towards the thing that exploded this time. Cultivate. The first thing Long Fei did was to cultivate. Ding! Congratulations player on successfully cultivating it. Chaos Domain. Auxiliary skill to create a world of chaos. Under the state of chaos, the strength of players will be increased by 30%. Seeing this, Long Fei instantly lost his composure. This skill is a bit lame. Other than this word, Long Fei could no longer find anything else that could be better described. Dazzling and cool. In the game world, a wet nurse was an indispensable profession. As for this skill, it could no longer be described as a wet nurse. It was simply super support. An increase of 30% in all attributes could be described as terrifying. Awesome. Once the primal chaos domain is created, one is basically invincible on the battlefield. Long Fei thought, excited. Then, he shifted his gaze to something else. Primal chaos power. Infinite chaos is the source of the Lord of Chaos's power. It can be fused and allowed the player to use the chaotic body. Within the player's level 10 range, the player can activate a fatal strike. The pool of blood contains the blood and terrifying power of a supreme expert of the chaos world. However, because of the refinement, the power of the player's fleshly body would grow stronger. Primal chaos armor, a divine treasure without a superior, able to defend against all attacks from an ancient god. Primal chaos battle sword, a divine treasure without a superior treasure, able to destroy any defense below the ancient gods. Primal chaos crown, bathed in the light of chaos, able to release profound yellow mother chi, chaos chi, reduces player's damage, increases player's lethality. Long Fei skimmed through 10 lines, and quickly looked through everything that came out this time. The more he read, the more excited he became. Not to mention these super treasure, every single one of them were world-shaking divine objects. It was the power of the primordial chaos. It was simply tailor-made for Long Fei. Behind immortality, Long Fei relied on the tyranny of his fleshly body. However, having a strong physical body did not mean that one would not die in the end. One would be able to form a chaotic body, and within the scope of rank 10, one would be able to absorb all attacks. He could even block a fatal strike. This kind of method would completely make up for Long Fei's current weakness. Ha ha ha, so this is the secret behind the death of the Lord of Chaos. Chaotic body? Refine it. Without the slightest hesitation, Long Fei directly refined the origin energy of primal chaos. Ding! Congratulations player on refining source energy of primal chaos and condensing the body of chaos. Chaotic body. Without a superior body, all attacks within the 10th level are useless. It can block a fatal attack. The skill will be refreshed every morning. In the blink of an eye, he had successfully trained in the chaotic body. Looking at the system's description, Long Fei's heart pounded. He was incomparably excited. This was because his chaos body was different from the Lord of all fiends. The Lord of Chaos is a kind of Dharma body, and he is a kind of skill. In other words, it happened once a day. Ha ha ha, great. This time, not even the goddesses or Buddha can stop Lousy from going berserk. Long Fei was extremely happy. For the boss to drop such a series of methods, Long Fei felt that it was worth it. It was also at this time that Long Fei's gaze shifted towards the bottom of the Primal Chaos Palace. At this time, in front of the Primal Chaos Palace, the members of the various families had already escaped the suppression of Long Fei's Buddha seal. However, the first thing he did was to escape. Long Fei was too terrifying. She completely overturned everything they knew. If even the Lord of Chaos was killed, then what the hell were they? In an instant, countless figures began to scatter, fleeing into the void. However, it was simply impossible for Long Fei to let them go. His heart stirred. Countless Buddha seals appeared out of thin air and began a new round of suppression. Furthermore, Long Fei did not hold back this time. It had been to deal with the Lord of all fiends, and to suppress them. How could he let them live now? Explode! Long Fei shouted. In the blink of an eye, the skies above the primal chaos palace began to blossom like fireworks. One by one, the Buddha seals directly shattered. At the same time, these people were blasted into smithereens and disappeared without a trace. Shua shua shua, blood rained down from the skies, filling the skies with a rain of blood. Ding ding! The system once again made a sound, one after another, but only with some experience. It was not because they were weak, but because Long Fei's fighting strength was just too strong. The system would estimate at any time. This kind of thing that could be easily crushed by Long Fei, the ability to give experience was already its limit. Thus, Long Fei did not care at all. However, numbers have never been an issue to be ignored. Although these people did not give him much experience, in the end, these people gave Long Fei billions of experience. Whoosh! Long Fei calmed his mind and looked at the system again. He might not care about these people, but towards the Lord of the Primal Chaos, Long Fei still harbored some sort of thought. Even though the item dropped by the Primal Chaos Lord could be said to have made a fortune overnight. But Long Fei was not done yet. System, berserk! Long Fei ordered. No matter what, it was still a High Lord level boss. Long Fei did not believe that after going berserk, there would be no good stuff for it. Even imagined that if he was able to get a special reward from the system this time, it would be perfect. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the infinite summon. The system's voice appeared. Long Fei was stunned at this moment. He had never expected that such a thing would actually explode under his striking value. God of Boundary Summoning Order? What the hell? Long Fei was stunned. Long Fei was stunned. He had never expected that after going berserk this time, he would only give out one item. Long Fei took the God of Boundary Summoning Medallion in his hand, and a cold feeling immediately appeared in his palm. Extremely comfortable. Whoosh! Long Fei took a deep breath. This feeling made Long Fei feel extremely weird. For the current him, logically speaking, he would not be shocked just because of the touch of his skin. However, this small God of Boundary Summoning Medallion made Long Fei's mind change. This thing. In his confusion, Long Fei immediately opened up the system to check the second of the God of Boundary Summoning Medallion. The God of Boundary Summoning Medallion. By relying on the medallion, one can enter the place where they would meet late in life to fight for the God of Boundary. This was the description of the God of Boundary Summoning Order. God of Boundary Summoning Token? Could it be that the war for the God of Boundary is about to begin? Long Fei's heart was moved. The God of Boundary did not contain God of Boundary, he did not care. But the Emperor Xian must die. As expected, the entire arrangement of the Emperor Xian was to become the God of Boundary of the ancient world, and to become the true ruler of the ancient world. Otherwise, the Emperor Xian would not have colluded with the alien powerhouse. Also, the 13 emperors of the ancient world are still here. They might not even be dead yet. In other words, I have to make a trip to this place where 10,000 worlds intersect. Long Fei made a decision in his mind. We have to go to their meeting place, but before that, Emperor Xian must go too. 10,000 years is too long. Revenge is only for the moment. Moreover, right now, your father just so happens to want to test out how the Emperor Xian is like. Long Fei thought. When this thought appeared, Long Fei's heart surged. However, no matter how anxious he was, Long Fei would not let go of everything that was happening here. In the next moment, Long Fei's gaze directly locked onto the pool of blood that the Lord of Primal Chaos had exploded into. Without the slightest hesitation, he leaped in. Hiss! Suddenly, an indescribable feeling of heat entered his body. Long Fei only felt that his pores had opened as he began to absorb and refine the energy within the pool of blood. Furthermore, Long Fei could even feel that his refinement of this pool's power wasn't something that could be done in one go. Instead, it was continuously filtered and refined before it was absorbed into the body. Ding! Congratulations player for absorbing blood energy, physical body rank +1. Ding! Congratulations player for absorbing blood energy, physical body rank +1. Time flew by second, while Long Fei only felt his own body becoming more and more powerful. In less than an hour, the entire blood pool dissipated. And Long Fei's fleshly body had also made a huge improvement. He was only short of a few hundred experience points before he directly leveled up. And at this time, the blood pool had completely disappeared without a trace. It was as if the world had evaporated into thin air, with not a single trace of its existence. Ahahaha, Lord of Chaos. I didn't expect you to send me such a great gift. I'm just short of a few hundred points. When my fleshly body becomes stronger, I'll reach the strongest state on the other side. Even if it's the Emperor Xian's, they're still scum. Long Fei laughed, his heroic spirit soaring high. Then, Long Fei turned his gaze back towards the primal Chaos Palace. And then, a kick landed. The wild strength of his fleshly body was unleashed to its fullest extent at this moment. With a single kick, the entire primal Chaos Palace collapsed with a loud rumble. Countless clouds of smoke and dust filled the skies. It could be said that from this moment onwards, the Chaos Palace no longer existed. Just like a fleeting flower, its brilliance was born, and then it faded away. And Long Fei did not care about any of this. At this time, outside the primal Chaos Palace, countless pairs of eyes were focused on the palace. Everyone was terrified when they saw the primal Chaos Palace suddenly break apart. It's starting, it must be the Xian nationality's counterattack. I knew it, the Xian nationality ruled over the divine space and became the uncrowned king long ago. Who would dare to disobey? The Lord of Primal Chaos is courting death. To go against the Xian nationality, this day has long been predestined. Countless people began to talk among themselves. His eyes were ice-cold and filled with a sense of schadenfreude. However, just as they finished speaking, their vision suddenly changed. A shadow of chaos engulfed the world and descended in front of them. Boom! Asterisk rumble. The endless aura of primal chaos exploded at this moment, directly drowning those who spoke. Puff, puff, puff. Soon after, the sound of sharp blades piercing his chest could be heard. Several screams followed. This scene caused the hearts of everyone outside to tremble. They all immediately scattered and began to move away from the area. Just as everyone's figures disappeared, an aura of primal chaos inadvertently appeared before slowly condensing. It was the Lord of Primordial Chaos. Even you waste people dare to talk about me. So what if the Primal Chaos Palace is destroyed? As long as I'm alive, without the Primal Chaos Palace, I can create a Primal Chaos Palace. Just you wait. It won't be long before this Emperor returns in a fiery fashion. Chaos will never be extinguished, and this Emperor will live forever. The Lord of Primal Chaos roared as he angrily rebuked the heavens and the earth. His gaze was incomparably sinister as he stared in the direction of the Chaos Palace's annihilation. With a flash, he vanished without a trace. Of course, all of this, Long Fei did not know. He had already left the Primal Chaos Palace. At this point, the entire area in front of the Chaos Palace had long since been thrown into chaos. The tree fell and the macaque scattered. The Chaos Palace was gone. They had long since lost the ability to be so arrogant, and now all of them were fleeing for their lives in haste. There was no other way. He had relied on too much of the Primal Chaos Palace's posturing. Now that his backer was gone, he was afraid of being avenged. Long Fei also could not be bothered to care about them. Little flower, can you sense where the Lord of Chaos is located? Long Fei asked. It was imperative to find the Lord of Chaos's whereabouts. So what if he didn't die? If he didn't die this time, then he would kill once more. Because there was less than half a month left in the mission. Half a month of time, for a person like Long Fei, passed in the blink of an eye. Therefore, There wasn't much time left for Long Fei. He had no time to waste. If the Lord of Chaos doesn't die, then the mission will fail and he will be the one to die. Therefore, Long Fei had to be anxious. Master, just now, 300,000 miles away, the aura of the Lord of Chaos appeared once. However, after killing a group of people, he leaped into the air and left. Little Flower said. Long Fei was overjoyed. As long as he had a direction, then that distance of 300,000 miles was child's play to him. If he wanted to, he could reach there in just a moment. All right, let's go take a look first. Long Fei said, and then his gaze focused, directly locking onto the location that Little Flower mentioned just now. In a flash, his body disappeared. When he appeared again, it was already another world. This was the place where the Lord of Primal Chaos had unleashed his slaughter. Long Fei's eyes turned as he began to search for the figure of the Lord of Primal Chaos. However, he didn't sense anything at all. Just as Long Fei felt helpless and was about to leave, thousands of people suddenly appeared in the distance and instantly attracted Long Fei's attention. What a coincidence! People of the Xian nationality. People of the Xian nationality. Long Fei did not expect to meet people from the Xian nationality here. In addition, all of them were at the peak of the supreme level. One look was enough to tell that he was an elite from the Xian nationality. In an instant, his eyes flashed. If all of them were to die, even the Xian nationality would feel the pain, right? Killing intent burst out from Long Fei's heart. Initially, when he had stepped into the divine space, the strength of the Xian nationality had been destroyed many times. However, most of them were in the Howren realm. An ancient supreme elder could be considered a central pillar. He was now at the Empyrean level of power. They included the Undead Lord, the Sky Sovereign Tiger Martial Saint and the Sky Sovereign Army Destroyer. How could he be like this? He had already entered the field with thousands of super paragons. So in that instant, Long Fei made a decision in his heart. Today, he wanted to keep all of them. It was also at this time that the people from the Xian nationality had already noticed Long Fei's location. Kid, what happened here just now? The leading team member stepped forward and asked. With a haughty look on his face, he looked like the boss of the heavens and the number 2 to him. Instantly felt displeased. Long Fei silently looked at it and did not say a word. Your father is asking you a question? Seeing that Long Fei did not speak, the people from the Xian nationality were instantly enraged as well. He took a step forward, raised his hand, and was about to attack Long Fei. And also at this moment, Long Fei moved. Long Fei's gaze instantly widened, locking onto this Xian nationality disciple. In an instant, the disciple's hands were locked in the air. The viciousness and malevolence on his face turned into fear. The Long Fei who had an expression of disbelief. In the distance, the disciples of the Xian nationality were still as proud as ever, and didn't notice anything unusual at all. In their eyes, Long Fei was merely at the first stage of the super great complete realm, so he was nothing to worry about. Cultivation was absolute. The difference in cultivation was the difference in absolute strength. Their cultivation bases were all at the 7th or 8th level of the supreme grand perfection. And Long Fei was only at the first level of super perfection. There was a gap of 6 levels between the two. As a result, he did not even look at Long Fei directly. He treated her like an ant. And they never would have thought that, in front of Long Fei, their existence, to Long Fei, was not even comparable to that of an ant. The Battle of the Chaos Palace, a super great complete realm master, had suppressed tens of thousands of enemies with a backhand blow. Then he looked at Long Fei, who had sealed all of the Xian nationality's disciples in just one glance. He walked over step by step. Compete with your father's arrogance. Am I proud of killing tens of thousands of elite warriors in an instant? Your father has destroyed the entire primal chaos palace. Am I being arrogant? Your father has cut down the Emperor Xian and the Lord of Chaos. Have I spread this around? One word at a time. Every step Long Fei took, he would say those words. At this moment, Long Fei felt that he was being too low-key. He was so low-key that a normal cat or dog would dare to cause trouble in front of him. Ari, it's not that all of you are blind, it's just that I'm too low-key, too luxurious, and have its own connotations. However, since you are members of the Xian nationality, then there's only one result. Long Fei shook his head and said indifferently. It was also at this time that Long Fei's figure had already arrived in front of the Xian nationality disciples. And then, without explanation, he sent a palm flying over. POW. A crisp sound rang out. It directly broke the silence in the void. In that moment, the people from Xian nationality finally woke up and glared at Long Fei with faces full of anger. Brat, you're courting death. You actually dare to attack our Xian nationality. In this divine space, there is no one who still dares to attack our Xian nationality. The people of Xian nationality were furious, but under their rage, a few figures walked out and surrounded Long Fei. And Long Fei, with a cold snort, simply did not spare a glance. As he stood with his hands behind his back, his middle finger was slightly bent. Come on, don't say anything if you can. Let this old man know how awesome your Xian nationality is. Long Fei said with a face full of ridicule. Ah, damn it. A piece of trash dares to provoke our Xian nationality, destroy him. Kill. Instantly, the people from the Xian nationality were enraged, and all of them attacked crazily. And when Long Fei was there, he actually laughed at this moment. This was what he wanted. Instantly, the Buddha seal appeared on Long Fei's palm. After seeing the original strength of the Buddha seal left by old Yin Shu, Long Fei was even more envious. If he could not move to ascend into the sky, he could not help but condense the pagoda into the highest level. In fact, Long Fei had a feeling that if he were to successfully condense the Buddha seal, the level of the Buddha seal would definitely give him a huge, gloomy surprise. He might be able to take a step forward and advance from supreme to supreme. Therefore, there was simply no need to use too much strength to deal with these Xian nationality disciples. The Buddha seal was enough. At the same time, one by one, the Buddha seals exploded in the air. Without even waiting for the Xian nationality disciples to get close, he directly suppressed them. And then it exploded. In an instant, the void was like fire as it was engulfed by the exploding light of the Buddha seal. And under this power, the disciples of the Xian nationality were even more soundless and disappeared into thin air. Immediately, the remaining Xian nationality disciples panicked. You actually dare to kill my Xian nationality's disciple. You are dead for sure, the supreme existence of my clan's Emperor Xian. I will definitely suppress you. Let's go, wait for us to go back and gather all of the strong warriors in the clan to kill him. All of the Xian nationality disciples said fiercely, their eyes filled with incomparable terror. At this time, Long Fei also quieted down and did not make another move. He wouldn't let any of these people off the hook. But not now. What he wanted was to have these people lead the way for him. He went straight to the base of the Xian nationality and joined its ranks, directly attacking Huang Long. Therefore, at this moment, Long Fei could only watch as the Xian nationality disciples left without making a move. Little flower, lock onto them, Long Fei said. In the spatial space, under Long Fei's command, Xiao Hua immediately started to look for the Xian nationality's disciples. However, right at this moment, Long Fei's heart suddenly shook. A bad premonition was brewing in his heart. Master. It was also at this time that Little Flower's voice suddenly appeared. Master, just now, I seem to be able to see the figure of the Lord of Primordial Chaos. It seems like he went to Turtle Mountain. Little Flower's voice came out. And in that moment, Long Fei's heart trembled. A towering rage exploded out from Long Fei's heart. Turtle Mountain. This was where the Mu clan was hiding. At that time, in order to protect him, the entire Mu family had been forced into the Turtle Mountain by the undead lord. Countless of Mu clan disciples died in battle, just to protect Long Fei. Had always thought about this favor. It was precisely because of this that Long Fei did not head towards Turtle Mountain after returning, and this was for the sake of better protecting them. Unexpectedly, it was still a move that was lacking. The Lord of Primal Chaos had actually set his sights on Long Fei. Since the primordial chaos is autonomous, I'll do as your ancestor says. If you dare touch the Mu family, I will definitely tear you into pieces. Incomparable rage. Incomparable rage. All the anger in his heart was ignited at this moment. To him, the Mu clan was not only his family, but they had also become the people he had to protect in his life. Therefore, in this instant, Long Fei did not stop at all. In the blink of an eye, it soared into the sky and directly rushed towards the Turtle Mountain. Xian nationality, shrine. Emperor Xian above, two people had come to his side. Black and white. Emperor Xian, the war for the god of boundary is about to begin. Countless world god of boundary have begun to move, and have entered the place where 10,000 realms intersect. The emissary said. Right, you have to prepare as well. Furthermore, this time, it's said that the strength of the god of boundary is extremely strong. The white messenger said. Don't worry, it's just some little clowns. No matter how strong they are, I'm not afraid. In my eyes, they are just a bunch of stronger ants. Would you care about an ant that has developed biceps brachii? Emperor Xian squinted his eyes as he spoke, with a look of disapproval. He did not care about what the two envoys said. The two emissaries looked at each other but did not say anything. Emperor Xian was very strong, otherwise, they would not treat him like this. It's best to be careful. Oh right, I heard that an ancient monster appeared in the ancient world. At this moment, the envoy suddenly asked. It's not a big deal. If it's Long Batian who revived, maybe I would be a little worried. Even though he is a member of the ancient world, he does not pose any threat in front of this emperor. In the ancient world, this emperor is the only one who is truly powerful. The Emperor Xian said with an incomparably arrogant look on his face. It was also at this time that the sound of bells rang out from outside the shrine. Emperor Xian's eyes focused, revealing a hint of unhappiness. Very soon, an elder with a face full of hesitation walked in from outside the shrine. He looked at the Emperor Xian, then looked at the black and white deer. Speak, Emperor Xian shouted coldly. He felt extremely displeased. Everyone in the shrine knew that the envoys that the Emperor Xian was receiving were extremely dense. Therefore, being interrupted at this moment made Emperor Xian feel embarrassed. Furthermore, Emperor Xian was very clear that something uncontrollable must have happened to make the elders of shrine ring the bell to warn him. As a result, the Emperor Xian felt even more irritated. Lord Emperor Xian, the Chaos Palace has been destroyed. The elder of the shrine was trembling with fear. After he finished speaking, he slightly lowered his head and observed the Emperor Xian from the corner of his eyes. Destroyed, Emperor Xian was stunned, extremely surprised. He then looked at the black and white deers. Instinctively, he thought that these were the Black and White brothers' methods. Otherwise, he really wouldn't have been able to find an existence in this ancient world that could kill the Lord of Primal Chaos. However, at this moment, the black and white envoys shook their heads. We didn't do it. Emperor Xian, looks like there are a lot of variables in your ancient world. Black and white said faintly. As the two spoke, their eyes turned towards Emperor Xian, becoming dubious. It was as if he had doubts about the abilities of the Emperor Xian. Instantly, the Emperor Xian was enraged. Anger burned in his eyes. Speak, what happened? Emperor Xian's voice became louder and angrier. I don't know. But according to what the disciples that returned said, they encountered a young man on their way to the Primal Chaos Palace. That young man said so himself. The elder said with a look of extreme fear on his face. He looked at Emperor Xian and did not dare to continue. Say it. If you continue to stutter, you don't have to say it. The Emperor Xian said. Originally, he was already extremely agitated. Especially in front of the black and white envoys, Emperor Xian did not want to lose face. Therefore, the attitude of the shrine elder made him feel extremely disgusted. The elder of the shrine took a deep breath, clenched his teeth, and said, That man said that he destroyed the Primal Chaos Palace, killed the Lord of Chaos, and killed one of Lord's clones. The shrine elder said in a single breath. He then heavily knelt on the ground, waiting for the anger of the Emperor Xian to descend. Crack, crack, crack. At the same time, Sounds of fists clenching could be heard. Long Fei. It's you, Emperor Xian gnashed his teeth. The moment the shrine elder said that, his heart instantly locked onto Long Fei's figure. For the first time in thousands of years, the only person who injured him was Long Fei. In his rage, Emperor Xian's gaze had completely ignored the two black and white envoys by his side, and he had not noticed them in the slightest. After the two black and white envoys heard Long Fei's name, their expressions became calm. His eyes twinkled. And then they repressed him. Emperor Xian, it looks like you aren't as strong as we thought. The emissary could not help but say. Mph. He's only a little clown. I was too careless, or else he would have already died in the dust of history. This time, I will let him know what it means to be the #1 powerhouse in the ancient times. My dignity cannot be desecrated. With that, the Emperor Xian's eyes moved. His entire eye sockets turned dark. Almost in an instant, it became an endless space. Deep and gloomy. Immediately after, streams of starlight shot out from Emperor Xian's eyes, instantly penetrating through his body, illuminating the entire world. 1 breath, 2 breaths. After a few breaths of time, Emperor Xian retracted his gaze. Mu family, Turtle Mountain, and the Lord of Primordial Chaos. It just so happens that all of them are here. This time, we will directly sweep through them. From now on, I am the most respected figure in the ancient world. Emperor Xian snorted coldly, the killing intent in his eyes vanishing. Turning around, Emperor Xian looked at Black and White. The two of you, please wait here. I will suppress the rebellion and return. The Emperor Xian said. After he finished speaking, the figure of the Emperor Xian flashed and immediately disappeared from the shrine. Within the Turtle Mountain. The people of the Mu clan had been here for several months. At this moment, Mu Tianhe was still resting. Back then, after Long Fei's battle, they had all entered the Turtle Mountain. But in that battle, his injuries were too severe. If not for the combined efforts of the Mu clan's elders to extend his life, the current him would not have been able to continue living. Big brother, Mu He and Tai said. In these few months, he had already achieved great enlightenment. To cultivators, indulging in power was of no use. Although he wanted to help the Mu clan develop and improve, he understood clearly the battle back then. In front of absolute strength, power and influence would be gone in an instant. It broke upon contact. It was simply a joke. Don't be discouraged, Xiao Fei has already left. I believe that he will definitely survive and become even stronger. Then, he will return and lead us out. Revitalize the Mu clan. To restore the Mu clan's glory. Mu Tianhe said in a deep voice. Although his voice was low, it was filled with determination. However, Mu He and Tai shook their heads. Big brother, don't say anything else. Xian nationality is too strong, it's good that the child is still alive. We owe them too much already, how can we let them be poor for us? Actually, this isn't bad either. At the very least, it can bring us some matters and recuperate. Mu He Tai said, his eyes full of helplessness. However, right at that moment, a loud explosion suddenly rang out. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The entire Turtle Mountain began to shake non-stop. Oh no, someone is attacking Turtle Mountain. Mu and Tai immediately stood up. Mu and Tai immediately stood up. Staring at the sky, he clenched his fists tightly. In his eyes, besides helplessness, there was only fury. Too much, too much. We, the Mu clan, no longer have the power to compete. Do they still want to kill us all? Emperor Xian, you son of a bitch. Mu and Tai shouted. His fists were clenched tightly, and his nails were embedded in the flesh. Droplets of blood dripped onto the ground. But Mu and Tai didn't know it. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, a few figures appeared. They were the elders of the Mu family. Originally, they had all been in closed-door training. However, with such a huge commotion, it was impossible to escape their notice. Patriarch, old chief, what happened? Could it be that the Xian nationality is attacking? Damn it, they are not giving our Mu clan any chance to live. The elders were filled with resentment as well. However, there was only helplessness and helplessness with him. They hated the Xian nationality, but hated themselves even more. He hated himself for not being strong enough. Hatred, in the face of imminent crisis, could only helplessly shout, but could not rush out to fight. Mu Tianhe's eyes were filled with despair as well. At this moment, everything was in vain. Even though he was heavily injured, he could still feel the berserk power coming from him. He knew clearly in his heart that the Turtle Mountain was simply unable to hold on. It was only a matter of time before he was blown away. At that time, what awaited them would be endless despair. There's nothing we can do. Let's inform the disciples. This time, we have to engage in a bloody battle. Our Mu clan will never surrender. Absolutely not, Mu Tianhe said as he clenched his fists. You are right, our Mu clan cannot surrender. The Xian nationality is very ambitious. The desire to destroy our Mu clan does not die. This time, even if we are to die, we must at least let them know that our Mu family has guts. Even if we have to exterminate the entire clan, we must still tear off a piece of their flesh. It would be better to shatter the jade than to let it be destroyed. Mu Hitai said with a resolute expression as if he had made up his mind. Immediately after, Mu He and Tai's figures directly left Mu Tianhe's secluded cultivation grounds. At this time, at the center of Turtle Mountain, countless of Mu family disciples had already gathered. Among them was Mu Yarrow. In a few minutes, the Mu clan's disciples had completely transformed. Survive from the desperate situation. Their attitudes had completely changed. They trained madly for a few months. In fact, a few of them had already broken through to the peak of the ancient powers. They were only one step away from breaking through to the great circle of perfection. Mu Yarrow was one of them. Right now, they could similarly sense that there was an extremely powerful force attacking Turtle Mountain. This kind of power caused their hearts to feel incomparably stifled. It was as if death had arrived. It was as if a desperate situation had already appeared. He couldn't resist at all. However, none of them said anything. No one complained at all, and no one said anything negative. At this moment, they were incomparably united. All eyes were on the direction Mu and Tai had appeared in. His battle intent was high. Mu He and Tai felt their noses turn sour. Their hearts were filled with a deep sadness. The Mu clan finally had the potential to become a superpower. All in one heart, all in one mind. But it was too late. I hate the heavens for not giving us 100 years. 100 years. As long as 100 years' time passes, with the unity of the children of the Mu family, I will definitely be able to control the heavens and become an invincible ancient world. Hate, hate, hate. Mu He and Tai kept roaring in their hearts, their eyes filled with boundless rage. However, he didn't dare show it. He did not want his emotions to affect the disciples of the Mu family. Whoosh. Taking a deep breath, Mu and Tai calmed themselves down and said, "You must have felt it. The enemy is here. This time, there is no Long Fei, there is no Long Batian. We can only rely on ourselves. Tell me, are you afraid?" Mu He and Tai said. At this moment, there was no need for him to inform anyone. The disciples of the Mu family were already prepared for battle. His monstrous fighting spirit had been fully displayed. Don't be afraid, *CK him. If I can bear to part with my body, I can pull Bodhisattva down. Who cares who he is? Even if he wants to destroy my Mu family, he still has to splash blood all over me. One by one, the disciples of the Mu clan spoke out. They were already prepared to fight from the back. They had been oppressed for too long. Thus, this time, even if they were to die, they had to die in a glorious manner. Mu He and Tai nodded heavily, tears welling up in their eyes. He wasn't afraid of death. However, he was afraid that the Mu clan's inheritance would be cut off. Long Fei, you must survive. One day, you will revive my Mu clan's reputation. Mu and Tai both thought to themselves as they stood in front of the Mu clan disciples. Even if it was a battle, as the head of the Mu clan, he would be the first one to participate. At the same time, the vibrations in Turtle Mountain became more and more frequent. It went berserk. Streams of strong auras had already penetrated the defenses of the Turtle Mountain and entered inside. Instantly, the hearts of everyone from the Mu clan tensed up. Rumble. Rumble. Suddenly, a loud explosion resounded. The sky above the Turtle Mountain had finally been pierced through. Shortly after, a figure appeared and stood on top of the Turtle Mountain. Ha ha ha, you want to block me with just a turtle shell? It doesn't exist. A member of the Mu family? He really hid himself very deeply. I never would have thought that an unintentional act that happened that year would actually become an extremely important part of the current situation. If not for the Jade Pendant, we wouldn't have been able to find the hiding place of your Mu clan. The Lord of all Fiends had a proud, savage look on his face. His eyes were filled with endless hatred. Long Fei, you destroyed my primal chaos palace and destroyed my primal chaos body. Then, today, I will destroy your family. I will let you live the rest of your life in endless self-blame and self-pity. Die. In the blink of an eye, the Lord of all Fiends charged downwards. As he moved, countless amounts of chaotic force erupted and filled the entire world of the Turtle Mountain in an instant. Below, Mu and Tai were also stunned. There was no need to think about it. It was just an enemy. He thought that the Xian nationality was attacking, but he didn't expect that it was actually a person that he had absolutely no idea about. In an instant, Mu and Tai relaxed. No matter how strong a person is, it is impossible for him to completely destroy our Mu clan. If anyone really is going to die, let me do it. Fight. Mu He and Tai's heart skipped a beat, their eyes filled with determination as they rushed into the sky. Behind him, the other disciples of the Mu family also rushed up to the sky, ready to fight. But at this moment, it was directly bombarded by Mu and Tai's power. Let's go. Mu He and Tai shouted. They weren't afraid of death at all. They faced the Lord of all Fiends. A mere ant dares to face the might of heaven and earth. Die. Boo. The Lord of Chaos's expression was sinister as he punched out, directly sending both Curtainfall and Tai's figure flying. Patriarch! Patriarch! Hertai! It was incomparably heavy. It was incomparably heavy. There was panic in every one of their voices. Boom! Asterisk Mu and Tai landed. It was as though an object had been tossed into the air. It was sent flying by the fist of the Lord of Primordial Chaos. There was no comparison at all. Even though the Lord of Primal Chaos had been killed by Long Fei, his true strength had not changed. What level of cultivation was he at? That was a super powerhouse that surpassed the level of the ancient sage. As for Mu and Tai, they were only at the super perfection stage. The gap between the two was huge. It was like a natural chasm that was impossible to cross. In just a single exchange, he was immediately pushed back by the Lord of Primal Chaos. Boom! Mu and Tai's body collided with each other, causing countless tombstones to be knocked over. The disciples of the Mu family were furious. The Turtle Mountain was also known as Turtle Tomb. It was the resting place for the ancestor of the Mu clan. It was a great disrespect for them to hide and seek refuge. But now, the moment the Lord of Primal Chaos attacked, he caused devastating damage, causing their eyes to turn bloodshot and their killing intent to flourish. Just you bunch of trash dare to reveal killing intent. How reckless. If you want to blame someone, then blame Long Fei. Long Fei annihilated my primal chaos palace. Today Japan will use your blood to vent my anger. The Lord of all Fiends was incomparably arrogant. Of course, he had the ability. In front of him, the members of the Mu clan were no better than ants. Coward, coward. You can't beat Long Fei, so you came to vent your anger on us? He's just a piece of trash. The cultivation base of our Mu clan is not high, but we have the heart to not lose. You're just a piece of trash. The people of the Mu family were furious. They did not hate Long Fei at all. After experiencing the last destructive strike, they had all become painfully aware of their own inadequacies. On the other hand, he still felt a sense of reliance on Long Fei. In his heart, he had long treated Long Fei as his competing target. And today, when he heard Long Fei again, he was actually able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the person in front of him, and even erase the inheritance of the other party, despite the jealousy in their hearts. However, most of them were full of anger. That's right, although we are not Long Fei, but the descendants of our Mu family are all men with blood. No matter how amazing you are, we will absolutely not be defeated. You're just a piece of trash that can't afford to lose. The Mu clan disciples were all excited. They couldn't compare to Long Fei, but they could still fight. At the same time, the expression on the Master of Chaos's face grew darker and darker, with a chilling aura enveloping the area. You're courting death. With a cold shout, the Lord of all Fiends' body disappeared. Then, with another flash, another fist descended from the skies. Rumble. A large area of space collapsed. This time, the more than 10 elders of the Mu clan attacked at the same time. When the Mu family elders and the family head fought, it was their turn. Never retreat. Su. In the blink of an eye, a dozen or so beams of light pierced through space and came from all directions. Spatial energy? It's just a small path. A rice grain of light dares to compete against Haoyue? You overestimate yourself. Die. The Lord of all Fiends went berserk. With a roar of rage, his attacks came crashing down. Bang bang, earth-shaking booms rang out one after another. The bodies of the dozen or so elders were instantly blasted away. Just like Mu and Tai, they had fallen into a coma and were hanging upside down. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. This scene caused the anger in the hearts of all the Mu clan disciples to rise to the peak. Let's go all out. It was unknown who suddenly shouted from the crowd, but soon after, many figures shot up into the sky, bursting with a violent fighting intent. They had experienced life and death before. He had experienced a calamity. I know what a family is. Therefore, in a life or death situation, what was more important was the value of their lives. At this moment, watching the battle between the elders and the patriarch almost caused him to die. In their minds, nothing mattered. The only thing. It was a battle. His life and death had already been decided. If he didn't accept this, then he would just do it. Swish. Immediately, the lights shot up into the sky. The entire tomb of the Turtle Mountain was flooded with this light. Tens of thousands of forces exploded at this moment. At this moment, the Lord of all Fiends took a step forward as well. He casually slapped down again. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, the incomparably violent power of primal chaos swept down like a rolling sea of clouds, shaking the void. Goo! Boom. A loud sound echoed out. None of the members of the Mu family had the power to resist as they were instantly flooded by the power of chaos. Puff. Fut. Immediately after, sounds of explosions rang out. The disciples of the Mu clan were no match for him. Even if the Lord of Primordial Chaos had only used a casual attack, it still wouldn't have been something they were able to withstand. In fact, their attacks hadn't even harmed the Lord of Chaos in the slightest. They were directly suppressed by the wild power of Primordial Chaos, causing them to instantly descend from the skies. Below, Mu Tianhe was protecting Mu He and Tai's seriously injured bodies, her eyes filled with despair. Too strong. The power of the Lord of Primordial Chaos caused him to feel despair. There was no chance of survival at all. He wanted to intervene and stop it, but he couldn't bring himself to do so. Looking at the heavily injured and dying disciples of the Mu clan, he was filled with determination. Don't attack, we can't stop him. His strength has already exceeded the limits of the ancient world and is not something we can handle. Right now, all of you should retreat. No matter how many you can leave with, don't go all out against me. Mu Tianhe said weakly. The Lord of all Fiends was simply too powerful, so powerful that he wasn't able to resist at all. He knew that the more he resisted, the less likely it would be a good result. Instead, it would be better to just go all out. One would be able to escape. Old Patriarch, we can't retreat. We can die in battle, but we can't be deserters. Right, even the Patriarch and the elders aren't afraid of death, why shouldn't we fight? The Mu clan disciple insisted. Even though he was severely injured, even though he was powerless to fight, he could not see any hope. But in their hearts, they still didn't want to give up. They wanted to fight their way out with the faith of the Mu clan. However, Mu Tianhe shook her head. As long as the mountain remains, there will be nothing to fear. Let's go, you guys escape. Then, he would go and find Long Fei. From this person's words, it can be seen that Xiao Fei's current power is extremely strong, and should be enough to protect you. You are the future of our Mu family. Later, I will activate the self-detonation mechanism of Turtle Tomb. Take this opportunity to leave. If anyone can escape, it will be one. Mu Tianhe said in a deep voice. Determination in his eyes. Then, as he turned around, a strange pattern appeared on Mu Tianhe's hand. It was like a turtle shell. However, the surface of this turtle shell was full of cracks. Mu Tianhe's eyes tightened. She immediately clenched his hands and the turtle shell patterns in his hands instantly burst apart. At the same time, the entire Turtle Mountain also began to shake violently. It was shaking non-stop. The ground collapsed and the tombstone shattered. It was as if the place would be destroyed in the next moment, turning into ruins. Let's go. Mu Tianhe shouted. In the air, Long Fei's figure continuously jumped, jumping out of the air again and again. In the air, Long Fei's figure continuously jumped, jumping out of the air again and again. Under Little Flower's instructions, they gradually approached Turtle Mountain. But at this moment, Long Fei's heart suddenly tightened. A bad premonition was born in his heart, and he felt an incomparable pain. It was as if there was an extremely important existence that was about to pass away in his life. Grandfather. Long Fei's heart was in extreme pain. Instinctively, Long Fei immediately thought that something must have happened to his grandfather. Lord of the Chaos, if you dare touch my grandfather, even if the Celestial Emperor himself were to descend upon the mortal world, he wouldn't be able to save you. Long Fei said fiercely in his heart. Little Flower, keep locking onto him. Long Fei said. Then, with another leap, he disappeared into the void. It was also at this time, in the Turtle Mountain. Mount Turtle had already begun to explode with a boom that soared into the sky. You want to self-destruct the Turtle Mountain? You think you can stop me just because of that? Too naive. The Lord of all Fiends had a look of pride on his face. He didn't take this seriously at all. So what if it was destroyed? To him, it was no threat at all. At the same time, Mu Tianhe revealed a ferocious and crazy expression. He directly burned his life. With a single leap, he soared into the sky. Ha ha ha, no matter who you are. But to see you beaten to a pulp by my grandson, this old man feels very good. So what if you kill me? Even if you destroy my Mu clan, so what? As long as my grandson is alive, you will never be able to rise above the masses. Mu Tianhe laughed crazily, his eyes full of malevolence. At this moment, he was already determined to die. As for the Lord of Primal Chaos, after hearing what Long Fei said, his expression immediately darkened. You're courting death. The Lord of Chaos snorted coldly. Killing intent suddenly exploded. And then, in an instant, it was heading straight for Mu Tianhe. Old Patriarch. No. Immediately, the people from the Mu clan turned their heads around. His eyes were filled with tears. Especially Mu Yarrow, who was already sobbing. Looking at Mu Tianhe, who was using his body to buy him time to live, his eyes were filled with endless hatred. Moreover, this was still not the end. At this moment, the members of the Mu family, the elders of the Mu family, and Mu and Tai were all infected by Mu Tianhe. He directly ignited his life force, exploding forth with his final battle intent. Su su su. Immediately, one figure after another shot up into the sky, directly behind Mu Tianhe, creating a wall of human flesh. Let's go. Everyone shouted. They could die, the Mu family could be exterminated. However, if possible, they still hoped that the Mu clan's inheritance would continue to be passed down. Instantly, these people felt their hearts ache. After clenching their teeth, they could finally hide into the depths of the Turtle Mountain, inside a huge tomb. At this moment, the attacks of the Lord of Chaos finally arrived. You want to use your lives to buy time for them? Good idea. However, I won't allow it. Which one of you can escape? Die for me. Boom. The Lord of all Fiends was enraged, and he began to control the primordial chaos to cover the skies. In the blink of an eye, the entire space was replaced by chaos. The primal chaos seemed to contain an endless amount of corrosive power. The instant it descended, the void of the entire Turtle Mountain started to melt. Chaos vortex, devour. The Lord of all Fiends let out a loud shout. Soon after, the chaotic force that filled the sky turned into a vortex. At the center of the vortex, an endless amount of devouring force was transmitted over. Whale swallows the sea. Within the space of a single breath, the life force of Mu Tianhe and the others was completely sucked away. You reckless fool, ants are ants. Didn't you want to use your life to fill it? Then I'll tell you, it's completely useless. Before my power, not to mention the Mu clan, I can even swallow the entire ancient world. The Lord of the Chaos's voice was cold and charming. His expression was cold and heartless. There were no signs of emotion at all. It was as if this massacre was a form of catharsis. Something casually mentioned. Boom. 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 It was also at this moment that the severely injured elders and disciples of the Mu family had their bodies corroded by the chaotic force, turning into a pile of dirt with no chance of survival. Ha ha ha, good death. Long Fei, I want to let you know that in this ancient world, I am the only one. No matter how amazing you are, what can you do? Can you protect your family? Didn't you care about your brotherly love? Today, this reputed one shall destroy all of them. To let you live your entire life in regret. The Lord of all Fiends began to laugh wildly. At the same time, the power of the chaotic force in his hands increased. At this moment, he was vomiting crazily from the Mu family. Mu Tianhe's body also began to melt. Under the influence of the chaotic force, his body dissipated. Limbs, chest. A little, but it was all gone. Finally, only a pair of eyes remained. However, her eyes were still firm. At the same time, Turtle Mountain also exploded completely like a nuclear explosion, annihilating everything in its path. Rumble. Rumble. A loud sound shook the heavens. It was like the end of the world. As for the entire area, it had completely become a purgatory of the human world, with countless broken walls and ruins. Fresh blood splattered all over the ground. The fragments of the tombstone had also been turned into stone fragments. Furthermore, even the tombs that the Mu clan members had escaped from had exploded. Everyone was once again standing in front of them. Ah, we can't escape anymore. Let's fight to the death. Right, even if I die, I must die in battle. I will not hold back. At this moment, the many disciples of the Mu clan were all staring with wide eyes. Under the effects of the hatred, their eyes had turned completely scarlet. However, everyone had no time to return. However, he was stopped by Mu Yao. All of you, stop. Do you want to die? Old Patriarch, and the brothers and sisters of the Mu clan. Do you want to let them down by giving us our lives? Mu Yao coldly snorted, her eyes filled with endless grief. Moreover, it was extremely helpless. Long Fei, if you are really that strong, why didn't you come to save us? Why? Mu Yao shouted in her heart as she struggled. At this moment, he couldn't help but hope that Long Fei would come. However, he was also a little afraid that Long Fei would not be a match for the Lord of Primal Chaos. However, this emotion was well suppressed by him and he didn't reveal it at all. In other words, he didn't dare to show it. Sister Mu Yao, what should we do? It's gone, everything's gone. What should we do? That person's aura is still there. We can't escape at all. A disciple of the Mu family was crying bitterly. He struggled to speak as he looked at Mu Yao. If we can't escape, we have to. If we can, we have to escape. The experts of the ancient era, stay and fight with me. Children and talented disciples, leave first. Mu Yao instructed. The disciples of the Mu family did not make a sound. No one rejected Mu Yarrow's words. However, right at this moment, the Lord of Chaos's voice rang out once more. Go! None of you will be able to leave. If you don't die, how can my heart be at ease? I am not comfortable. Why would Long Fei be in pain? All of you, die! As the Lord of Chaos spoke, his eyes turned malevolent. He moved his body and appeared in the air above the Mu clan disciples. But suddenly, before the Lord of Primordial Chaos could even stand up, the expression on his face changed. He suddenly turned around. Lord of the Chaos, why don't you just give them a try? Incomparable rage. Incomparable rage. Incomparable hatred. Boundless killing intent burst forth and in the blink of an eye, spread throughout the entire world. It was Long Fei. Long Fei finally arrived and looked at the ruined Turtle Mountain in front of him, feeling the gloom and heaviness that filled the air. His heart was suddenly filled with endless grief. He didn't dare to think or ask. He had no choice but to transform his endless grief into killing intent as he faced the Lord of Primordial Chaos. Long Fei. The Lord of all fiends gritted his teeth as he spoke. It was the same face of killing intent. When enemies meet, their eyes will turn red, it is no different. Long Fei. Long Fei, why are you here? Let's go. You are no match for him. The Mu clan disciples said. They knew that Long Fei was very strong now. Otherwise, the previous Lord of Primal Chaos wouldn't have been so furious. However, their understanding of each other had limited the depth of their thinking. He believed that no matter how strong Long Fei was, he would definitely not be a match for the person in front of him. The man in front of him was too strong, and he was not someone a human could contend against. You go, we don't need you to care. Wait until you're truly strong, then you can come and take revenge for us. Remember, the inheritance of the Mu clan cannot be cut off. All hope is on you now. Don't worry about us, let's go. Mu Yarrow said with determination in her eyes. And then, right at this moment, she made her move. His body instantly soared into the sky. A pair of bare hands played with the space, constantly jumping. And then, in the blink of an eye, he appeared before the Lord of all fiends. Die. Mu Yarrow brazenly made her move. At this moment, she was using her actions to express her determination. After him, the disciples of the Mu family also instantly understood Mu Yarrow's intention. They definitely weren't a match for the Lord of Chaos. But they had to take action. Because if they were still alive, Long Fei would never retreat. As for himself, he would become a burden to Dragon Long Fei. It might even end the Mu clan's last hope. They absolutely did not want to see this. Therefore, at this moment, with the intent to die, one by one, they started attacking in a suicidal manner. At this moment, the Lord of Primordial Chaos rolled his eyes. With a flip of his hand, he directly shattered the space around Mu Yarrow. Boom! Mu Yarrow's figure was instantly sealed off by the void. It wasn't just her. The other disciples of the Mu clan behind him were the same as well. They didn't even have the chance to attack before they were trapped in the air. With this level of power, you actually dare to sneak attack me? You're courting death. In that case, I shall grant you your wish. Ha ha ha, Long Fei, just you watch, I'll make sure you watch with your own eyes how they died in front of you. And your grandfather, and the people of your Mu family, and everyone else, because of you today. I will make you wish you were dead. The Lord of Primordial Chaos smiled savagely, then clenched his hands into fists. The power of primal chaos immediately transformed into a series of attacks, appearing out of nowhere. Lord of the Chaos, the one seeking death is you. But right at that moment, Long Fei made his move. With a leap, he landed right in front of Mu Yarrow and her group. His speed was so fast that it completely exceeded the scope of what could be described. Chaotic body. Boom. The attack of the Lord of Primal Chaos was forcibly blocked by Long Fei. Boom. Boom. Long Fei's figure was immediately sent flying, but he did not receive much substantial damage. Beneath the power of primal chaos, Combined with the power of Long Fei's physical body, the attack of the Lord of Primal Chaos was basically useless. Whiz. In an instant, after Long Fei's figure stabilized itself, he did not stay any longer and once again took to the air. You guys leave first. Leave this to me. Long Fei took advantage of the voice and said. Mu Yarrow and the rest were stunned for a moment before they immediately accepted it. Let's go. Mu Yarrow said. By then, she knew, it was too late. Long Fei was too resolute, everyone in the Mu family knew her character. Now, they had no other choice but to leave. Only after they leave would Long Fei be able to let go of his worries and start a fight with them. Su. In an instant, under the lead of Mu Yarrow, the Mu family disciples left the battlefield. And at this moment, Long Fei turned his gaze back and stared fixedly at the Lord of Primal Chaos. Today, I want you dead. Long Fei said. Her voice was very calm. But the more indifferent he was, the more it expressed the anger that Long Fei was currently feeling. Impossible. How could you possess the chaotic body? Also, why did the power of your fleshly body increase yet again? How long has it been? How could there be such a change? I don't believe it. The Lord of the Chaos's face was filled with panic, and he continued to retreat backwards at high speed. Before this, he was the ruler of this world, the ruler of the life and death of the Mu clan. But now, in front of Long Fei was a warrior that could massacre the heavens. Even if he was a god, he would still be pulled down the altar. What does it have to do with me? Do you believe it or not? Today, even if your father comes, he won't be able to save you. Long Fei said in a serious tone. Killing intent surged. He had to kill the Lord of all fiends. And now, the Lord of Chaos had actually annihilated the Mu family and killed his grandfather and the others. And even touched Long Fei's reverse scale. Chaos battle sword, / No more nonsense. Long Fei immediately took action, his sword soaring into the sky. In an instant, the sword light shot up into the sky, splitting the world. He directly slashed down, as if he wanted to split the Lord of Chaos in half with his sword. It was at this moment that the Lord of all fiends finally came to his senses. He turned around and left. He was not a match for Long Fei in the first place. When he felt the berserk aura on Long Fei's body, he didn't have the slightest intention to fight and immediately turned to leave. He didn't even dare to fight. But if he wanted to leave, Long Fei would not allow it. Crash. Lord Primal Chaos was caught off guard and struck with his sword. Boop. Boom. A large portion of the primordial chaos was destroyed. It was wiped away by Long Fei's sword. As for the Lord of Primal Chaos, his body trembled as well, as one of his arms was cut off by Long Fei. Run! Weren't you awesome just now? Didn't you want to make me wish I was dead? Come on. Long Fei almost roared. His voice was hoarse. Boop. Boom. Another sword. Long Fei did not hold back at all, and did not even give the Lord of Primal Chaos time to open his mouth, as he continuously attacked. He was enraged to the extreme. The current situation of the Mu family made him lose his mind. At this moment, the only thought in his heart was to explode the owner of the Quasi-Ton. Swish. In front of the Lord of Chaos, another wave of chaos was dispersed. Another arm was chopped off. Long Fei, I will kill you. The Lord of all fiends bellowed in rage, his eyes wide with fury. He was utterly humiliated. From ancient times until now. For someone as noble as him, when had he ever received such humiliation? But, in front of Long Fei, he did not have the qualifications to be arrogant, and was just like a prisoner that had been wantonly humiliated by Long Fei. Kill my family. Chaotic my Dao heart. Touch my reverse scale. Chaos, you really deserve to die. Long Fei said word by word, and with every word he spoke, he drew closer and closer to the Lord of Primal Chaos. In fact, with every step he took, Long Fei would slash his sword. Die for me. Killing intent rose to the heavens. Killing intent rose to the heavens. Fury burst out of Long Fei's body, and in the end, he heavily slashed out a sword. No. Long Fei, you can't kill me. I have the secrets of the primal chaos in my body. If you kill me, then there's no possibility that you know everything about Long Batian. Don't you want to know why Long Batian was so unrivaled and lost so miserably in the end? The Lord of Chaos said. Long Fei's movements also stopped. Lord of the Chaos, what are you still scheming? This kind of power is simply unable to take your life. Long Fei said. The Chaos Battle Sword was very strong, it could destroy all defenses under the ancient god. However, every single blow of his had failed to harm the Lord of all Fiends' weak points. At his level, he could easily regrow a limb easily. But right now, the Lord of Chaos was begging for mercy. It was as if he did not want to fight Long Fei head-on. At this moment, the expression on Chaotic Autonomous suddenly froze. His face became incomparably dark. Since you have already seen through my disguise, then why not? I will not continue acting. Emperor Xian, since you're here, come out. Today, this ancient world is either yours, or mine, or Long Fei's. Since we've bumped into each other this time, then let's settle it together. The Lord of all Fiends said coldly. Long Fei's heart also trembled at this moment. The Emperor Xian is here. In that moment, Long Fei's gaze turned, inspecting the void. Just now, his mind was filled with killing intent, and it was so full of killing intent that it even covered up his perception, making him unable to sense anything. If it hadn't been for the fact that he had sensed the Lord of all Fiends' abnormality, he wouldn't have asked. He had thought that the Lord of Chaos was concealing something, planning something. They had never thought that the Emperor Xian would actually come. At the same time, the air rippled and a large area of space was trampled. Then, a figure appeared. He was dressed in imperial robes and had a supreme appearance. If it wasn't Emperor Xian, who else could it be? You've actually managed to discover this emperor. It would seem that the existences of the ancient era are not so weak as to be unable to withstand a single blow, Emperor Xian said faintly. His tone was arrogant. To despise all living things. Everything in front of him was unbearable to look at. Long Fei's eyes darkened. Just as he was about to speak out in anger, he suddenly realized that the members of the Mu clan, who had already left, had returned. In addition, all of them were severely injured. It was extremely heavy. At the same time, several figures appeared out of nowhere, each of them with murderous intent. Ha ha ha, running? A bunch of stray dogs. They can hide past the first day, but they can still hide from 15 years of age? I've been a grandson in the Turtle Mountain for a few months, and now you still want to run? Impossible. Do you take my Xian nationality to be a dry meal? No one can save you. It was someone from the Xian nationality. All of them were incomparably savage, and their faces were filled with killing intent. Furthermore, because of the Emperor Xian's battle, they were showing off as if they were on stimulants. Seeing this scene, Long Fei's killing intent was instantly born. It instantly rose up. You're courting death. With a cold shout, Long Fei directly abandoned the Lord of Primal Chaos, turned around, and slashed out. Swish. A sword light flashed, its sharpness limitless. Puff puff puff. Immediately, the first Xian nationality disciple who rushed in was decapitated by a single slash from Long Fei. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Xian nationality disciples. You have obtained 20,000 experience, 2,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Ding. The system reward was immediately served. Even if it was just a simple strike, it was definitely not something they could withstand. Even the Lord of all Fiends was injured by this sword. Not to mention them. Immediately, the disciples of the Xian nationality were extremely shocked. Emperor Xian actually dared to attack Xian nationality in front of them. This was disobedience. That's right. It was a random subject, a thief. It was a blasphemy. How dare you, you actually dared to attack our Xian nationality. Immediately, a disciple of the Xian nationality spoke in a cold voice. In front of the Emperor Xian, who were they afraid of? In the entire ancient world, Who would dare to be disrespectful to the Emperor Xian? Emperor Xian was a god, and their Xian nationality was the supreme ruler. Is your Xian nationality really that awesome? You can't kill him? Long Fei retorted. Tooth for tooth, blood for blood. This was Long Fei's attitude. The Emperor Xian was the person he had to kill. If he did not even put the Emperor Xian in his eyes, then what did the people of the Xian nationality count as? Our Xian nationality is not awesome, our Xian nationality is a god. No matter who you are, if you dare to attack our Xian nationality today, you are dead. Instantly, the speaker attacked. His cultivation wasn't weak, he was already at the 8th level of the supreme grand perfection. Therefore, he simply did not put Long Fei's super great complete realm in his eyes. Even the remaining team members had cold expressions on their faces. They all believed that nothing unexpected would happen. But in the next moment, just as the man's attack landed on Long Fei's body, they were stunned. Long Fei did not move, and used his own body to block the man's attack. This was not all, this person's meridians had been broken inch by inch after this collision. What kind of body is this? Impossible. That person was in extreme pain. His meridians were all shattered, and his cultivation was drained away. To a cultivator, this was a pain worse than death. However, it was already too late. From the moment they descended on the Turtle Mountain and attacked the members of the Mu clan, the outcome had already been decided. That was death. With a loud bang, Long Fei immediately rushed forward. With a sweep of his swordlight, blood splattered everywhere. The people of Xian nationality were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered, they directly stood in their original positions, and didn't even have the chance to resist before they were killed by Long Fei. At this moment, the people from the Mu clan also took a breather. Mu Yaro's eyes were fixed on Long Fei's unbridled slaughter. Clenching her fists tightly, she clenched her teeth, which was extremely complicated. But in the end, he sighed. Some people were like this. Even if they were poor for the rest of their lives, they still wouldn't be able to compare to them. It was also at this moment that the Emperor Xian in the sky finally opened his mouth. Enough. Long Fei, do you think that this emperor does not exist? Boo! Speak according to the law. When Emperor Xian opened his mouth, the entire sky changed color and a thick pressure descended from the sky. The rest of the Xian nationality cultivators were teleported far away as they were used by the Emperor Xian. Only then did Long Fei stop his killing. Ha! Long Fei sneered and looked towards the Emperor Xian. I thought you could pretend. Why, is this group of trash worthy of Emperor Xian saving them? Long Fei ridiculed. Long Fei had long seen through people like the Emperor Xian. Other than cultivation and power, he didn't care about anything else. That was why he said that, for the sake of dismissing the Emperor Xian. Long Fei, at my level, is there any meaning in saying these words? Do you know why this emperor has always suppressed you and beat you up? It's because you have too many shackles. Trash is trash. However, even if they are trash, they are still my Xian nationality's people. As long as you are a member of my Xian nationality, you should be above all other living beings. You, what do you count as? Lonely and cold. Lonely and cold. Emperor Xian's words were as cold as frost, and not a single trace of emotion was contained within them. It was as if the world had already become completely devoid of life. It was as if there was nothing in this world worth his attention. Acting tough. What the hell is Lousy doing? If this daddy is fart, then what about your Xian nationality? What about you? Just a pile of dog shit. You've suppressed me since the South Sky region, so how about now? Is Lousy still standing in front of you? Long Fei taunted. Killing intent exploded out. Emperor Xian's eyes turned cold and a cold aura exploded from his body. Thus, this emperor has come today. Today, you will definitely not have the slightest possibility of escaping this place. This place will become your burial ground. From today onwards, there will no longer be any possibility for you to exist in this world. The Emperor Xian said. With every word he said, the sky would be pushed down by a bit. Rumble. A boundless pressure descended. It was incomparably terrifying. Long Fei was still all right, the strength of his own body had already transcended, and he did not even put this pressure in his eyes. However, the people from the Mu family weren't good enough. They couldn't withstand this kind of pressure at all. Puff puff. Suddenly, two sounds of someone vomiting blood appeared. Under this pressure, the bodies of the two disciples from the Mu clan exploded and they died without a trace. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, and his heart trembled. We can't wait any longer, they can't withstand the pressure from the Emperor Xian at all. Long Fei thought. Then, he looked at Emperor Xian. Emperor Xian, you son of a b*tch, you only have this little bit of ability. If you have the guts, why don't you deal with me? If you're a man, then attack your father. Your father wants to see who kills who today, Long Fei said. As he spoke, Long Fei's figure had already charged into the sky. One sword in the air. At the same time, the chaos armor and the crown were all put on. In the blink of an eye, streams of primal chaos energy floated out from the crown. One after another, they swept onto Long Fei's body. It was like a baptism. In the distance, when the Lord of Primal Chaos saw the change in Long Fei's aura, his expression changed greatly. Primal chaos energy? How could you possibly own it? The main shock of the primal chaos was endless. This sort of method had always only belonged to him. He never thought that Long Fei would actually have it right now. For a moment, the fear for Long Fei grew even more intense. However, the Emperor Xian in the sky remained indifferent. Looking at Long Fei, who was brimming with qi, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, revealing a smile. A trivial small path like this dares to make a fool of itself. Heavenly tribulation stance, Emperor Xian said coldly. In the blink of an eye, thunder and lightning filled the sky as thunder and lightning filled the entire space. It was incomparably terrifying. KCHA. Asterisk rumble. Soon after, thunder rumbled down from the sky and descended. Kill. In Long Fei's eyes, there was determination, and he threw out a sword attack. Boom. Boom. Immediately, a sword light soared into the sky, clashing with the thunder that filled the skies. Rumble. Rumble. Under the violent collision, waves of destructive aura were formed. Space itself exploded. At their level, any casual attack could annihilate a region. At this moment, this kind of unreserved exchange had exceeded the limits of what the ancient world could endure. The heaven and earth couldn't help but tremble, as if they were about to collapse. Below, Mu Yarrow and the rest looked at Long Fei, who was in battle, their eyes filled with anxiety. However, in this situation, they couldn't help him at all. Let's go. Mu Yarrow shouted. At this moment, she was the leader of the Mu family. Now, only she could understand Long Fei. The reason why Long Fei acted in such a hurry was because of them. Therefore, the best help they could give Long Fei was to leave this place. In an instant, under the lead of Mu Yarrow, the disciples of the Mu family left. It was also at this time that the people of Xian nationality wanted to chase after him. However, because of the teleportation method of the Emperor Xian dragon just now and the distance between them, it was impossible to catch up to him in a short while. As for Long Fei, she had no time to be distracted either. The Emperor Xian was too strong. This one simple exchange had already made Long Fei feel like his power was being suppressed everywhere. Even with the primal chaos war sword, the power slashed out could not harm Emperor Xian at all. On the other hand, even though Long Fei was wearing the primal chaos armor, he could still feel that every single strand of the Emperor Xian's power was capable of stimulating his own body. It was incomparably painful. Especially at this time, the Emperor Xian's heaven calamity style seemed to have no end. Boundless thunder rumbled through heaven and earth. As for Long Fei, he could only swing his sword one after another. But even so, Long Fei's speed of waving his sword was still unable to keep up with the lightning. The power of thunder struck his body. Immediately, it was as if his entire body and soul had been pierced through by lightning, causing Long Fei to feel a pain that made him wish he were dead. But on the surface, Long Fei had endured it, still acting as if nothing had happened. Is that all? Emperor Xian, is this all you have? You still want to kill me? Long Fei said, taking the opportunity to look downwards. When they saw that the people from the Mu clan had left, they felt relieved. Then, Long Fei turned and looked at the Lord of Primal Chaos. The Lord of Chaos's heart skipped a beat, and a sense of foreboding rose in him. Long Fei, what are you doing? This is the conflict between you and the Emperor Xian. The Lord of all Fiends said. Declare your position. *CK This contradiction. You said it yourself just now, this ancient world is either yours or his, or your father's. In that case, do you want to stay out of it? Come in for lousy. Long Fei sneered. He moved his body, and instantly rushed towards the Lord of the Primal Chaos. At the same time, the lightning that filled the sky rumbled towards him. Instantly, the figures of Long Fei and the Lord of Primal Chaos were enveloped within it. Long Fei, you bastard. The Lord of all Fiends let out a furious roar. He hated it. He never thought that Long Fei would be so shameless to drag him into the fray. However, he couldn't afford to think any further. He had no choice but to use all of his methods to defend himself. Rumble. The lightning continued to strike the sky. However, because of the addition of the Lord of Primal Chaos, Long Fei immediately calmed down a lot. Right now, this kind of attack can't hurt Emperor Xian at all. Unless it's an ultimate skill. Long Fei's heart raced. He wanted to think of ways to kill them. But up until now, all the strength that he could control was basically not a match for the Emperor Xian. Compared to the current Emperor Xian, the avatar of the Emperor Xian that he had killed before was nothing. It could even be said that the avatar of the Emperor Xian did not even inherit 10% of the Emperor Xian's power back then. Thus, even though he had broken through now, he still wasn't a match for them. It was also at this time that Emperor Xian took another step forward. Walking casually amidst the thunder and lightning that filled the sky, the Lord of Primordial Chaos? Long Fei. An existence akin to two pieces of trash. Does he really think that the name of this emperor's #1 powerhouse in the ancient times is fake? Extermination stance. Kill. The moment the words left his mouth, everything shook violently. The moment the words left his mouth, everything shook violently. Whiz. The blade light shook the world like the sun, cutting off the sky and the earth. A saber to separate heaven and earth, a saber to cut off yin and yang. In an instant, all the auras in the entire world became silent. Everything was overshadowed. It was as if in this instant, only the saber before him was the sole ruler. Die. The figure of the Emperor Xian said sinisterly amidst the thunderbolts that filled the sky. And in his hand, the shadow of a long blade appeared. The long saber in his hand slashed downwards with a loud sound. No. Primal Chaos Chi, nurture my body. At the same time, the Lord of Chaos let out a furious roar, and the aura emanating from his body began to fluctuate. Immediately after, an extremely mysterious aura appeared. In an instant, the body of the Lord of the Chaos was surrounded by a cocoon of energy. And Long Fei, at this time, also suddenly moved. A feeling of extermination swept through his entire body. Chaotic body. Without the slightest hesitation, Long Fei immediately unleashed the chaotic body. Emperor Xian's slash was too berserk, more berserk than all the enemies he had faced before. It even made Long Fei feel a sense of crisis. It was as if he could not withstand the blow, he would die. Rumble. It was also at this time that Emperor Xian's blade descended. Boop. Boom. KCHA. Asterisk Long Fei's figure was instantly pierced by the blade, and in that instant, he was split into two. The giant cocoon surrounding the Lord of Chaos was instantly chopped apart, revealing the Lord of Chaos's true form. Puff. The Lord of Chaos coughed out a mouthful of blood, a look of shock on his face. How is this possible? You're a person tens of thousands of years from now, how could you have the power to destroy the primal chaos? Even Long Batian couldn't do that. You. The Lord of the Chaos exclaimed in shock, disbelief written all over his face. But the Emperor Xian completely ignored him, her gaze looking at the place where Long Fei had been killed, her eyes gloomy. He died just like that. You're so trashy that you can't even take one of this emperor's strikes. An existence like him dares to challenge this emperor, Emperor Xian whispered. His eyes were deep, as if he was trying to pierce through the void to find something. At the same time, Long Fei's figure suddenly appeared in his original spot, and his entire person became incomparably dejected. Damn! What strong power! Long Fei thought. He raised his head and looked at Emperor Xian, his eyes filled with an unyielding aura. Don't worry, your father won't die that easily. If I don't kill your unfilial son, how can I be willing to die? Emperor Xian, do you really think you're invincible? Long Fei said. Just now. Flee. Non-existent. Countless planes, countless years of waiting. Now, he finally had the chance to face off against the Emperor Xian head-on and had earned the qualifications to do so. Thus, fleeing without fighting simply did not exist. Thinking about it, Long Fei's eyes blossomed with a kind of crazy light. And at this time, the Emperor Xian slightly nodded his head. You have some methods. However, this emperor does not believe that I am able to continue displaying power like yours. If you can dodge this emperor's blade, can you still dodge this emperor's second blade? As the Emperor Xian spoke, his gaze gradually became gloomy. And at that instant, the thunderbolts that filled the sky started to converge. Annihilation stance, Emperor Xian said in a deep voice. In an instant, the sky filled with thunder turned into a long blade. A long blade that could destroy ancient world. The moment this long blade was formed, endless sadness appeared in the world. Endless pleas. It was as if the heaven and earth were bowing down to the Emperor Xian, begging him to stop. Even Long Fei felt an incomparable sense of oppression. At this moment, the strength of his physical body had completely stopped circulating. It was as if under the influence of this aura, the strength of his body was unable to change at all. What should we do? I can't take it. I definitely can't withstand the power right now. Long Fei's heart was burning with anxiety, and his gaze kept on turning. However, it was impossible for him to leave now. Firstly, it was his unwillingness. Secondly, Emperor Xian would never allow it. Because of this power, it was so berserk that even heaven and earth begged. How could he dodge it? The purpose of Emperor Xian's visit this time. That's him. Furthermore, he had started off with such a violent move. It was clear that he wanted to kill him. A type of power. I need a type of power. I don't believe that Emperor Xian's cultivation has already reached the heavens. System, I'm depending on you this time. Long Fei did not hesitate as he immediately opened up the system interface. System, what kind of power can explode and kill the Emperor Xian after devouring them? Long Fei asked. But the system didn't respond at all. A voice that had been silent for a long time suddenly came out at this moment. Boss, that won't do. The power of the Emperor Xian has reached the heavens. It is stronger than any aura I have ever seen. Thousands or tens of thousands of times stronger. Your current strength isn't your opponent at all. Long Quang's voice came from the void. It was filled with impatience. Long Fei's heart sank. A strong sense of unwillingness burst out from his heart. He did not want to retreat. At this step, if he retreated and faced the Emperor Xian again, his heart would be incomparably petty. A crack would appear in this absolute killing intent. Therefore, even if he had to die, as long as there was a possibility of fighting it head-on, Long Fei would not give up. It was also at this moment that Long Quang's figure suddenly appeared. Leaving Long Fei's control, he directly appeared in front of him. What are you doing? Hurry up and go back. At this time, even he himself did not have the slightest confidence to face Emperor Xian, so what if he was a Dragon Quang? Hehe, boss, I've followed you for so long and gone mad for so long. This time, I want to go crazy too. Long Quang said, extremely determined. Long Fei was startled, a deep feeling of gratitude appeared in his heart. Thank you. However, there's really no need for that. You all are simply no match for him. Even if you are to improve right now, it would still be impossible. Long Fei said, as if he wanted to control the dragon demon and seal it in space. However, right at this moment, the Dragon Quang suddenly exploded, burning his soul and transforming it into pure energy. "Boss, there's no need to persuade me. This time, let us fight one last time. Use my power to kill this Emperor Xian bastard," Long Quang said fiercely. Long Fei shook his head violently as tears welled up in his eyes. His heart was in incomparable pain, as though it were dripping blood. He wanted to stop everything. At the same time, he hated himself for not being able to do anything. Even now, he still couldn't protect the person he wanted to protect. He couldn't do as he pleased and protect his brothers. This feeling of helplessness made Long Fei wish that he was dead. However, the next scene caused Long Fei to immediately roar. In the middle of the air, Little Flower and Green walked out one after another. He smiled gently at Long Fei, then turned into a dragon Quang and turned into the purest form of energy. Following that, even the gods' pavilion lost control. All of the planar lords walked out. "Master, this time, let us go crazy as well." Even the undead lord and the sky sovereign Hu walked out from the gods' pavilion. Even the undead lord and the sky sovereign Hu walked out from the gods' pavilion. The two of them had faces of hesitation as they looked at Emperor Xian in the sky. They were the people from the Xian nationality. But that was before. Right now, they were Long Fei's loyal servants. The moment when Long Fei was in trouble and had no strength to defend at all. The entire God's Pavilion was controlled by a mysterious power, and thoughts kept flowing into their minds. Fight to the death. So now they all stood out. Long Fei, on the other hand, continuously shook his head, feeling extremely shocked in his heart. Yes, he needed power. An extremely powerful force was used to trigger the killing attribute of the heaven-shrouding palm. However, they had never thought of sacrificing these people. However, now that the system was out of his control, he was not afraid. The people from the God's Pavilion were still okay, even though they belonged to him, he didn't interact much with them. But, Dragon Quang, Little Flower and Little Green are different. This was the person who accompanied him in life and death. But now, they had actually sacrificed themselves and turned into a strand of power. Long Fei could not accept such an outcome. "Stop, all of you stop. Your powers can't be activated at all," Long Fei shouted, wanting to stop him. But now, the system was out of his control. Of course, Long Fei didn't know either. Within a control room in the Paragon Plane, a young man was typing on the keyboard with his head lowered, and strings of commands were being typed out in his hands. "Long Fei, I can only help you this once. I hope I can help you. I also hope that you won't hate me in the future." As the youth spoke, he wiped the sweat off his face as if a heavy burden had been lifted. The scene changed, on Long Fei's side. Right at this moment, Long Fei finally regained control of the system. Ding, strength is automatically decomposed. Ding, strength fusion ding, new strength has been given birth, the power of creation. Ding, strength fused with heaven-shrouding palm. It was also at this moment that the powers of the Planar Lord combined into one, fusing with those of Little Flower Dragon and the others. It formed an indescribable and indescribable force. If there really was a need to describe it, it could only be described with one word: powerful. He was incomparably powerful. It contained hundreds of different types of powers. Apart from the Mai Nun, the Lord of the Soaring Sky, and the Lord of the Demon Origin, the rest of the 997 Realm Lord's powers were all contained within it. An incomparable amount of energy surged forth. However, this power was within his hands. Long Fei, however, felt an incomparably heavy feeling. These were the condensed powers of his people through the use of their lives. At this time, the Emperor Xian in the sky had a change in expression as well. The destructive slash landed, but it didn't. It directly stopped in the air. Of course, did not hold back, but rather, he used his power to attack the cliff. Immediately, Emperor Xian's face changed. He had never imagined that his destructive move would be destroyed. You still have the ability to counterattack," the Emperor Xian said stiffly. His expression slightly changed. Even the Lord of Primal Chaos looked at Long Fei with a face full of shock. This power. He's going to unleash that power. It's even more violent than last time. The Lord of all Fiends felt his heart tremble. His gaze turned from Emperor Xian to Long Fei. Then, with a firm look in his eyes, he made up his mind and turned to leave. In the air, Emperor Xian's expression changed slightly. He glanced in the direction in which the Lord of Chaos had fled, then retracted his gaze. He didn't seem to care at all. In merely an instant, he once again directed his gaze towards Long Fei. So what if you can break through my attack? This Emperor's blade is endless. What about your strength? How many times can I use it? The Emperor Xian said coldly. Destroy. Instantly, the saber struck out once again. KCHA. Rumble. The lightning was like a blade that sealed off the sky. The incomparably savage power of thunder revolved around the saber light. It was like a blade of annihilation. A single saber strike that could destroy the world, a single saber strike that could slaughter all living things. Below, Long Fei was still immersed in endless pain. She hated him. Don't worry, today I will definitely use your power to kill Emperor Xian. I will let you pay a price and see hope. I will make your madness, make this world tremble for you. 5 elements heaven shrouding palm, explode. Long Fei shouted loudly, his eyes filled with determination. In the blink of an eye, his palm reached the sky, shrouding the sky and blotting out the sun. Thunder. Tribulation clouds. A world-exterminating blade. Completely ignoring him. It stretched across the entire space. In that moment, even the Emperor Xian became incomparably arrogant and small under this handprint. Shua shua shua. At this moment, the power of the 5 elements crazily spread into his palm. Every finger contained an absolute power of the 5 elements, incomparably berserk. Moreover, this was not the main point. At this moment, the powers of the 5 elements began to converge. It began to madly converge towards the center of his palm. In an instant, the 5 elements interweaved, and on Long Fei's palm, an indescribable pattern gathered. It was as if it was 8 trigrams, but it was perfectly round, and repeated over and over again. Long Fei's eyes were burning with determination. It had already come to this point. Long Fei would never retreat. Even if it was for those who have offered their lives up to this point, Long Fei would still fight until the end. Moreover, this was also a huge gamble. Others would use their own lives as the price to place all their hopes on Long Fei. Then, similarly, Long Fei would be able to use all of his strength. Go crazy once. It was also at this time that the Emperor Xian's gaze changed greatly. The instant this palm appeared, it actually caused a pressure to appear in his heart. The power of the 5 elements. The heavens and the earth have converged. The 5 elements have become one. What a powerful technique. Long Fei, I have to say, this emperor has still underestimated you. Emperor Xian's face was gloomy, his killing intent became even stronger. Initially, he had only killed Long Fei casually. From the beginning till the end, he had never treated Long Fei as his opponent. At most, he would just view it as an unstable factor. Even if Long Fei were to kill his clone, the most she would feel was a little afraid, not the slightest bit afraid. However, when this palm appeared, even the Emperor Xian felt a sense of dread in his heart. Humph, there are a lot of things you can't think of. You never thought that I would be able to survive, but again and again, I still appeared in front of you safe and sound. Do you think that I was casually killed by your Xian nationality's people? But your Xian nationality's people have already been turned into mice by me. Even today, nothing unexpected will happen to you. Everything that I have done for today, for this battle, Long Fei said in a serious tone. The killing intent in his eyes was on the verge of burning. The strength on the back of his hand also began to burst forth. This kind of power was the power of Dragon Kwong and the others in space. The same madness, the same killing intent, the same savagery. 5 elements shrouding the heavens, subdue. Long Fei's gaze was like iron, finally pressing down on this palm. At the same time, Emperor Xian's figure also started to change. Heavenly tribulation. Earthly tribulation. Destroyer style, explode. If you want to kill this emperor, you are not qualified. Boom. 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 A massive palm blocked out the sun. Boom. 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 A massive palm blocked out the sun. The entire ancient world would no longer see the light of day at this moment. For a time, the entire ancient world was shrouded in darkness without a trace of light. It was as if the power of doomsday had destroyed the entire ancient world. Within the endless void, the black and white desire swordsmen looked at each other as they observed the changes in the sky. What a terrifying battle. With this kind of combat power, I'm afraid that even in our supreme realm world, we can still be considered as the absolute powerhouse. It seems that we have to report to our master as well. As the two spoke, they no longer hesitated and turned to leave. Below, regardless of whether it was the people from the Shen nationality, or the Mu family, or even the ancient world's people, in this instant, everyone fell into an endless panic. Is the apocalypse approaching? Is it the external powerhouse that is attacking us? So terrifying. Under this kind of power, who can turn the tide and save us? No, I don't want to die. Countless sounds erupted from the heavens and earth. Panic, irritation, confusion, all sorts of negative emotions filled their hearts. Their eyes were already filled with panic, fear, and the intent to survive. In the face of life and death, they became restless and restless. For a time, the entire world was in chaos. Countless people no longer suppressed the impulses in their hearts. He fought back with all his might. Mother **K, I've been suppressed by the Shen nationality for my entire life, ruled for my entire life, and enslaved for my entire life. Now I'm going to die. Even if I die, I have to fight back. Shen nationality, fuck you. Amongst the people, an expert rose up in anger, found a person from the Shen nationality, and directly killed him. I'm going against, are you guys going against me? You actually dare to attack our Shen nationality? Shen nationality was angry. At this moment, he felt incomparable rage. The people they had suppressed all along had actually resisted, and even killed their Shen nationalities. This cliff was not something they could tolerate. But just as his voice faded, one figure after another pounced at him. Fuck, you still dare to be arrogant. Ancient world is about to be annihilated, you still dare to be arrogant. Kill them. If you can kill one of them, you can earn another one. If you don't want to die with grievances, then come with me. Instantly, many rogue cultivator powerhouses rose to their feet. Soon after, he called out 100 times, and the experts all followed suit. The entire ancient world was instantly immersed in a chaotic battle. No matter how powerful the Shen nationality was, without the Emperor Shen and the many experts, it was impossible to suppress them. He could only retreat time and time again. Of course, the battle here didn't affect Long Fei's side at all. The center of the battle was located at the top of Turtle Mountain. Long Fei's palm fell. It collided with the Emperor Shen's various supreme abilities. Rumble. Boom. 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 Stars fell from the sky and then disappeared in an instant. The waters of the river flooded into a calamity at this moment and instantly dried up. Mountains and mountains, trees, birds and beasts. In the blink of an eye, it was swept away by the violent energy and then annihilated without a sound. Boom. Boom. Instantly, the world wept blood, dyeing the endless darkness blood red. And it was also at this moment that Long Fei's figure stood in the air, still maintaining the position from the very beginning where he had struck out with his palm. He coldly looked down. Emperor Shen's figure was also drowned by this power. As for the Emperor Shen's attack, it had also disappeared without a trace. Is he dead? Long Fei's heart sank, his suspicions unsettled. Long Fei was confident that this kind of strength could be destroyed, even if it was a plane or even a world. If the Emperor Shen is still not dead, then there is no justice. However, at this moment, Long Fei was not at ease. This was because the system did not have any prompts. As he thought about it, Long Fei's gaze once again probed deeper into the abyss. However, a ray of light suddenly burst out from under the suppression of the heartless palm. At this moment, The huge palm that covered the entire sky was also chopped apart by the saber. At this moment, the endless darkness also collapsed. Dead. Long Fei, you're just an ant. How dare you hurt this emperor? You forced this emperor to use a life-saving technique from the outside world. You deserve to die. The voice of the Emperor Xian once again emerged from the void, filled with boundless fury. Whoosh! After the blade light, the figure of Emperor Xian appeared again. However, the aura on his body was already extremely chaotic. His face was dark and lifeless, as if he had suffered a huge backlash. Even his aura was unstable. However, it was still powerful. But at this time, Long Fei's eyes dimmed, and that strong sense of powerlessness appeared once again. Not dead yet. Long Fei mocked himself. He clenched his fists. This time, even the faith in Long Fei's heart loosened. All this way. Killing the Emperor Xian can be said to be the deepest desire he has given you. However, only then did the true battle let Long Fei know that the Emperor Xian was truly too powerful. Even if he had gotten stronger and killed as much as he could, he was still no match for the Emperor Xian in front of him right now. Not only was he unable to win, he didn't even have the ability to fight. Even when Long Quang and the others combined all their powers, the ultimate attack that they released was actually unable to kill the Emperor Xian. What else? How would he fight? It was also at this time that an incomparably tyrannical light also exploded from Emperor Xian's body. Light of the boss. Emperor Xian, no higher leveled bosses. Health, 100 million points damage, 10 stars defense, 10 stars skill, 10 stars. This boss type also appeared in front of Long Fei. Immediately, Long Fei became even more speechless. It was simply the perfect attribute. It was impeccable. Damage, defense, and skills were all at max level. Even his HP had reached a terrifying 1 trillion. Even the Lord of Primordial Chaos only had several hundred billion inkstones. In addition, there were fixed numbers for damage and defense. But in the Emperor Xian, it simply did not exist. In other words, the two weren't even on the same level. It was at this time that the Emperor Xian began to move. Step by step, he walked into the sky. Without the slightest pause, he directly descended in front of Long Fei. You've been tormenting yourself for so long. I assume that you don't have any tricks now? Why? Just a piece of trash. No matter how much you struggle, the result is still the same. Just like your useless father, the trash of the dragon race. After struggling for so many years, the result is still the same. We were still suppressed by this emperor. The Emperor Xian said calmly. However, the lower his voice became, the more it indicated that the fury in his heart was erupting. Every word was a warning to the heart. They were all trying to destroy Long Fei's last bit of perseverance. At this time, Long Fei's gaze also gradually darkened. It was incomparably gloomy. The words of the Emperor Xian made him extremely angry, and made him want to go up and fight for his life. However, after the battle just now, Long Fei didn't even have the qualifications to go all out. No, I need to level up. Only by leveling up can I have a chance. Long Fei suddenly thought in his heart, and then, a flash of light appeared in his eyes. His gaze was directed towards the Lord of Primordial Chaos, who had already fled tens of thousands of kilometers away. Killing intent immediately grew in him. It's enough to kill you. Long Fei's figure instantly flashed through the air. Long Fei's figure instantly flashed through the air. He completely disregarded the fact that the Emperor Xian was still behind him. At this moment, he only had one thought in his mind, and that was to level up. Right now, the only possibility for him to level up was the Lord of Chaos. Unable to kill Emperor Xian? He still can't kill the Lord of Chaos? Impossible. The Lord of the Primal Chaos was indeed strong, but he had already been cut down by Long Fei once. This time, he didn't even have the courage to face it and directly escaped. It was sufficient to show that he was already terrified of Long Fei's strength. At this moment, the Lord of all Fiends was standing in the void, his heart trembling with fear. This is too crazy. Why is the change in this world so huge? The Lord of all Fiends was stunned. His face was filled with fear and bitterness. Everything was different from what he had imagined. This time, he had laid out a plan that would last for all eternity. He was reborn. He wanted to intimidate the heavens and conquer all the realms. He wanted to dominate the ancient era. Unexpectedly, the clone was killed by Long Fei. When facing the Emperor Xian, even more so, it was not a place to be combined. And, facing the power that Long Fei had just unleashed, it had even filled him with the threat of death. No, I'm not willing. My body contains the energy of the primordial chaos. As long as the primordial chaos exists, I will be infinitely strong. One day, I will make a comeback. No matter who lives or dies today, you will become the stepping stone for me to become the ultimate ruler of the universe. The Lord of Chaos was speaking non-stop in the void. Then, he turned his eyes and prepared to leave. But right at that moment, a ray of light shot straight towards him. The Lord of Primal Chaos was shocked. His heart was thrown into disarray and an extremely resentful expression instantly appeared on his face. Long Fei. The Lord of Chaos let out a furious roar, and the rage in his eyes flared. Never would he have thought that in such a short period of time, Long Fei would actually chase after him. Could he have already killed Emperor Xian? The Lord of all Fiends felt shock in his heart. He hurriedly turned his head. However, the next scene caused his expression to change once more. Emperor Xian also chased after him. F***CK, F***CK, F***CK. The Lord of Primal Chaos uttered 3 words in quick succession as he felt a sense of being wronged. Why? This is clearly a battle between the two of you. Why aren't you letting me go? I've already F***King run away, but I'm still going to chase after him. Is there anyone that wants to bully others like this? Can't you be more reasonable? The Lord of the Chaos felt a great deal of grievance in his heart. At this time, Long Fei had already arrived at the location of his body. Of course you have to pick the soft ones to pinch, Long Fei said casually. In the blink of an eye, the great seal of the heavens was unleashed. Rumble. In a split second, boundless will of the world erupted, engulfing the entire world. It immediately enveloped the entire space. This was also Long Fei's trump card. Even if he couldn't compete with the 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm. However, it was a high-leveled skill after all, so naturally, it was extremely violent. The Lord of Primordial Chaos's face was filled with shock. He didn't have any time to think, he immediately attacked as well. A vortex of primordial chaos that devours the heavens and the earth. In an instant, the primal chaos transformed into chaos itself, and endless amounts of chaos energy was released from its surroundings. As for his body, it had turned into the shape of a wind eye. And then, an endless tornado formed. Next, it formed into a vortex, which began to frantically devour the entire thing. Long Fei, you have gone too far. Today, even if I have to risk my life, I won't let you do as you wish. Soft persimmon. Back then Long Batian thought that I was a soft persimmon. You, a trash, actually dared to say such words. I will kill you, I will kill you. The Lord of all Fiends roared furiously. This roar shook the heavens and the earth. Soft persimmon. The 3 words struck directly at the heart of the Lord of Chaos. It was as if these 3 words were his scar and his humiliation. As such, he was infuriated, and he decided to fight to the death. Long Fei was also stunned at this moment. He simply did not expect the Lord of Primal Chaos to have such a violent reaction. But now, there was no time for him to think any further. After the great hand seal of the mortal life, Long Fei was fully equipped with the Primal Chaos battle sword, Primal Chaos armor and Primal Chaos crown. Kill. With a loud shout, Long Fei immediately walked forward. They charged into the center of the whirlpool. It was also at this time that the great hand seal of the mortal life also blasted out at the same time. Before Long Fei, they directly entered the primal chaos. Rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In an instant, the entire void was thrown back into chaos once more. Long Fei, you won't be able to kill me. As long as I am in the primal chaos, I will be able to continue healing myself and you will eventually be devoured by me. The Lord of the Chaos's voice rang out from the center of the vortex. But Long Fei was completely unmoved. He no longer had the qualifications to retreat. If he didn't succeed in this battle, then he would die. Only by killing the Lord of Chaos would he be able to complete the mission. Only in order to upgrade. Only in this way would he have the qualifications to fight against the Emperor Xian. Therefore, the current Long Fei was betting everything on one throw. Devour me? Then let's see who will devour who. Unrivaled sword strike. Long Fei bellowed, and continued to advance. He didn't even turn his head as he charged directly into the center of the chaos vortex. Instantly, the incomparably strong power of devouring directly bombarded Long Fei's body. As if it was being torn apart, it acted on Long Fei's body and soul. For a moment, Long Fei almost fainted. If Long Fei did not have the system's suppression, even his soul would have been annihilated. As for the physical body, it too suffered endless devastation from this power. Ding, player's body strength mutation, level experience +1. Suddenly, the system's voice rang out once again. Long Fei's face lit up and he laughed out loud. Ahahaha, devour. Ahahaha, devour. If you can't swallow me today, I'll kill you. Long Fei laughed and said. He had never expected that the strength of his physical body would change again at this moment. This meant that with the power of devouring from the primal Chaos Master, it was even possible for his body to reach the highest realm possible. At that time, he would have more capital to face the Emperor Xian. And at this moment, the Lord of Primal Chaos also noticed the change in Long Fei's body. He was even more furious. Are you using my power to temper your body? Don't even think about it. I will absolutely not let you succeed. Emperor Xian, quickly kill him. Otherwise, once he uses that kind of power, even if it's you, you will undoubtedly die as well. The Lord of all Fiends let out a mighty cry. To the east, he wanted to pull the Emperor Xian down with him. However, right at this moment, the aura on Long Fei's body abruptly changed. Ding, congratulations, player body leveled up, current level, oppose. As the system's notification sound rang out, Long Fei's body shook and he recovered from the shock. And at this time, the power of the Lord of Primal Chaos was also completely ineffective on Long Fei, so he could no longer harm him in the slightest. Ha ha ha, the heavens are on my side. Lord of the Chaos, you've been using your father for so long. Today, help your daddy break through again. It can be said that karma isn't satisfied. Now, explode. Long Fei's eyes were firm and killing intent surged. Long Fei's eyes were firm and killing intent surged. The leveling up of his fleshly body made Long Fei pleasantly surprised. It was an unexpected surprise. He never thought that the Lord of Chaos power would be able to help him go through the final step of tempering. He never thought that he would be able to raise the last few hundred experience points to perfection. And with the upgrade of his fleshly body, Long Fei felt even more powerful. This kind of body had already transcended the ordinary. A powerful aura burst out from every cell. It was just like how it was initially changed by the great Tao root. In an instant, he could do whatever he wanted and change it to various attributes. However, it was countless times stronger than it was in the beginning. Just the words "do as you wish" was enough to reveal everything. F***ck, that's awesome. From now on, it's going to be like 7 times a night. They're all child's play. I'm going to sleep together. Ha ha ha. Long Fei's heart was in turmoil. 1 point out of the deep sadness. Of course, all of this was because of the change in his strength. More importantly, the Lord of Chaos was about to explode. As long as the Lord of Primal Chaos was killed, they would have the ability to clash head-on with the Emperor Xian. In that moment, S eyes released a light aura. Die. Long Fei punched out. Rumble. The chaos maelstrom began to crumble. No, impossible. How could the strength of your fleshly body possibly reach this level? That's absolutely impossible. Even the ancient world's Long Batian doesn't have such power. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. The Lord of all Fiends bellowed furiously. His voice was filled with panic. At this moment, Long Fei's physical body had already completely surpassed the level of his strength. No matter how formidable the chaotic force was, it was useless right now. It did not cause the slightest amount of damage to Long Fei. On the contrary, it was Long Fei's fist that rumbled through the heavens and directly shattered his primal chaos vortex. This was not all. Even the primal chaos energy that he had been brewing had instantly turned chaotic under Long Fei's punch. One by one, the cocoons began to peel off from his body. As for Long Fei, she did not slow down at all. His expression did not change as he continued onwards. Boom. Invincible punch. He reappeared. His fist immediately sank into the endless primal chaos. Rumble. In that instant, the entire chaos vortex collapsed, and the Lord of all Fiends' body collapsed as well. Shua shua shua. The endless power of primordial chaos roiled through the void. The entire world had turned into chaos. Boom. Boom. The huge impact was like a nuclear explosion, creating a mushroom cloud in the air. Below, the Emperor Xian's expression changed slightly as she immediately stopped. At the center of the explosion, Long Fei was also affected by the power. However, his physical body was no longer the same as it was before. In the instant the power burst out, he turned his body into a speck of dust and turned into a substance similar to the explosion of primal chaos. Swish. Long Fei appeared once again, staring at the Lord of Primal Chaos with a cold expression. "Come on, let's continue," Long Fei said in disdain. His eyes were ice cold. Right now, the Lord of the Chaos was no longer a threat in front of him. Once upon a time. It had nothing to do with the current situation. The current him no longer had the qualifications to fight against Long Fei. Or perhaps, the moment Long Fei leveled up, he had already lost the qualifications to compete this time. Or rather, the existence of the Lord of Chaos had always been a foil to his existence. So it was to set off the invincibility of the Emperor Xian. And now, it was even more so, a stepping stone for Long Fei. Killing the Mu clan's turtle tomb. The inheritance of the Broken Mask clan. "You're so awesome," Long Fei said coldly. With every word he said, a punch would be thrown out. Boom. 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 Under Long Fei's attack, the Lord of Primal Chaos was constantly retreating. The Chaos Vortex had already exploded, and the Primal Chaos energy had also disintegrated, drifting about in the air. The current Lord of Primal Chaos was like a stray dog. He had no power to resist and could only watch as Long Fei attacked. "No, Long Fei. Let me go, you can't kill me. Leave me here, I can kill Emperor Xian with you. Furthermore, I still know some secrets about Long Batian. Don't you want to know how he failed all those years ago? Do you really think that Long Batian is dead? No, I can feel that he is within your body. She has left me behind, and I can help you remove the hidden danger." The Lord of Primordial Chaos spoke out in a berserk voice. Anything that could move Long Fei. It had to be said that even Long Fei's heart was moving up and down because of the Lord of Primal Chaos. Long Batian, a person who had already disappeared without a trace before he entered the Sun God realm. But, was Long Batian really dead? Long Fei herself didn't believe it either. Now, the Lord of Primal Chaos said that Long Batian was in his body. How could he not be shocked? Moreover, the strength of his current fleshly body was largely because of Long Batian. So, Long Batian doesn't have her own layout? For a moment, Long Fei's mind was in a mess. At the same time, the nearly shattered dragon scales trembled slightly in space. His movements were so small that even Long Fei did not notice. And then there was the Lord of Chaos. Seeing Long Fei hesitating, it was as if she had grabbed onto the last straw of hope. Long Fei, right now, the Emperor Xian is below us. Only if we join hands, would we be able to kill the Emperor Xian. Otherwise, with the means of the Emperor Xian, it would also be difficult for you to escape death. So, stop. There are still a lot of things that I can give you. His tone changed as he thought that he had caught hold of Long Fei's thoughts. He said. However, Long Fei suddenly laughed at this moment. Lord of the Chaos, O Lord of the Chaos, that look on your face when you were desperately begging for mercy is really funny. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have sought death today. The moment you attacked the Mu clan, you were already on my blacklist. As for the Emperor Xian, I've already said it before, it's enough if I kill you. Long Fei said coldly. There was no mercy. Then, the primal chaos battle sword appeared in Long Fei's hand once again. Boop! With this sword strike, the Lord of Primordial Chaos no longer had any means of defense. Under his terror, he was directly smashed into pieces by Long Fei. Instantly, the system rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Lord of Chaos. You have obtained 100 million experience, 100 million holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining primal chaos energy. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the skill Chaotic Vortex. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the Spirit of Chaos. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei. Mission accomplished. You have received the inheritance of the 13 emperors and the champion of the God of Boundary Qualification Competition. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining task reward, leveled up. Congratulations player, current level, Super Perfection level 2, experience level, 700000000002500000000 points. Congratulations player, current level, Super Perfection level, 3, experience, 700000000000300000000 points. Ding! The system's voice continuously sounded, and at this moment, an earth-shattering change occurred to the aura on Long Fei's body. The system's voice continuously sounded, and at this moment, an earth-shattering change occurred to the aura on Long Fei's body. Upgraded 3 levels consecutively. In the blink of an eye, he advanced from the 1st level to the 4th level. A fierce competition. Even the Emperor Xian below were dumbstruck at this moment. Advancing to the 3rd level? How is this possible? At such a level, how can he have so much accumulated experience? Impossible. Emperor Xian was in disbelief. Breaking through to the next realm wasn't rare. But the problem was that Long Fei was currently at the peak of the super perfection. At this level, he could still break through. For a moment, even the Emperor Xian stopped her hands as she looked at Long Fei with suspicion. But Long Fei did not have the time to care about all these. At this moment, he was immersed in the changes in his body. He broke through to the 3rd level in a row. Long Fei felt that the way he looked at the world had changed. In the past, he could not even sense the true cultivation level of the Emperor Xian. At first, now, it was different. In his eyes, the perfect boss that was completely unstoppable before was now nothing out of the ordinary. This was a feeling that came from the bottom of his heart. There was no more panic. As for what the Lord of Primal Chaos had exploded, Long Fei didn't have the time to care. In the blink of an eye, he had directly faced the Emperor Xian. The Lord of Primal Chaos was not the key factor. The key point was that he had to kill Emperor Xian. By now, the Lord of all Fiends had finished his quest. Upgraded 3 levels consecutively. Next, naturally, was to kill Emperor Xian. Emperor Xian, do you still think I'm an ant? Do you still think you can control everything? Today, everything will be settled. You will enslave the dragon race, suppress the Mu family, and suppress me. Everything will come to an end. Long Fei said in a serious tone. Killing intent exploded in their eyes. Emperor Xian also turned silent at this moment. The change in Long Fei caused him to be alarmed. It was as if he had already become a different person. If it was said that he could easily crush Long Fei with his bare hands, then so be it. But now, he could already feel that Long Fei already possessed the qualifications to fight him head-on. And also at this time, Long Fei did not stay idle, and in an instant, she had directly launched an attack at Emperor Xian. Yi Zichen punched him. Boop! The berserk aura was on the verge of exploding. Xian Heaven's Path Fist Art Emperor Xian also shouted loudly. At this time, the Emperor Xian also did not dare to hide anything. The aura of Long Fei's punch caused his heart to palpitate with fear. She simply did not have time to react at all, and could only use the ancient strength that she had controlled. Rumble. Instantly, the two forces collided in the air. In that instant, the entire space collapsed. Countless rays of starlight appeared in the air. At this moment, the heavenly thunders and earthfire did not have the control of space, covering the entire world. The entire ancient world had turned into a dead end at this moment. It was like a calamity. It was like the extermination of the world. It was like the collapse of nature and the fall of the heavenly Tao. As for Long Fei, she was also sent flying by Emperor Xian's punch, and her body immediately exploded as she retreated backwards. Puff! Long Fei's entire person fell from the sky. The reddest color fell into the endless earth fire. Rumble! The sound of a violent collision resounded through the air. Damn, is he that fierce? Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, endured the intense pain coming from her body and looked at Emperor Xian. It's a good thing my physical body has leveled up. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this punch. But wanting to blow up Emperor Xian is not impossible. A cold light condensed in Long Fei's eyes. Because at this time, in their eyes, the Emperor Xian was not much better off. His entire right arm was trembling as drops of blood dripped down into the air. After this punch, a chunk of his HP was cut off and was continuously floating in the air with a reddish hue. When he looked at Emperor Xian again, his face looked even more vicious. Incomparable viciousness. He never thought that Long Fei, who had only raised her cultivation, would actually be able to reach such a level. Damn it, damn it. If I knew it would turn out like this, I would have crushed you in the morning. I would not have given you this chance. To give you the chance to stand in front of this emperor. Emperor Xian's face was cold. He was filled with endless hatred. If he had the choice, he would definitely not have given Long Fei the chance to kill the Lord of Primal Chaos. Otherwise, the current situation wouldn't have happened. However, everything was too late. He wanted to completely destroy Long Fei and cut off Long Fei's hope. However, he never would have thought that Long Fei would be able to create a miracle with a flip of her hand without him dying. This was the case for the South Sky region and the Universal Realm. Even now, it was still the same. Ha ha ha, Emperor Xian, are you hurt too? It looks like you aren't an immortal existence either. I can't kill you because I don't have enough strength. But now, I have it. As he said that, Long Fei's body instantly rose up into the sky again. At the same time, an extremely strange weapon appeared in his hands. It was like a board. However, in the sky. The moment Emperor Xian saw the weapon, she panicked. A weapon of the god of boundary? Has the power to suppress an entire realm? Impossible. How could you possess such a weapon? This is mine. The ancient world is mine. I am the real god of boundary. This weapon can only be owned by me. The Emperor Xian roared. It was as if he had gone insane. Immediately after, streams of ancient inheritance's power condensed and formed in the Emperor Xian's hands. He had 3,000 ancient inheritance and he had studied them to the extreme. Incomparable power. This was also the reason why he had never placed Long Fei in his eyes from the beginning to the end. Even Long Fei was startled. He never thought that the God of Boundary's blade would have such a huge impact on the Emperor Xian. Actually, when Long Fei had long ago revealed the God of Boundary's edge, she was too busy killing her way through the primal chaos to notice it. But this time, as he leveled up and his fleshly body broke through, the God of Boundary's person actually broke through its seal on his own, which was why Long Fei had taken note of it. In that instant before, Long Fei had already examined the attribute of the God of Boundaries blade. God of Boundary blade, sovereign. Description: the ability to use the power of origin of countless worlds in the universe to suppress the world and wipe out dimensions. Currently, Level 1 has been activated, activating the skill, Wild Dragon Town. Every time you activate a level, it will be accompanied by an activation skill. Notification: the first activation, the skill can only be used once. Activating the next layer will allow you to unleash an unlimited number of skills from the next layer. This was the complete description of the God of Boundaries blade. Immediately, Long Fei immediately used the God of Boundaries blade. In fact, Long Fei did not even take a look at the attribute of the activated skill and directly took it out. But he never would have thought that the Emperor Shen's reaction would be so intense. Ha ha ha, the more crazy you are, the more it proves that this God of Boundaries blade is a threat to you. I can even kill you. Long Fei said in a clear voice. There was no fear. Then, just when the power of the Emperor Shen's 3,000 ancient inheritance came together, it descended with a loud bang. The God of Boundaries blade in Long Fei's hand also unleashed a ray of profound light. Wild Dragon Town's realm. Long Fei's voice that shook the 9 heavens completely erupted at this moment. Long Fei's voice that shook the 9 heavens completely erupted at this moment. Roar. In an instant, a dragon image burst out from the God of Boundary blade in Long Fei's hand. A roar. The power that had directly caused the descent of the Emperor Shen to dissipate by a third. After which, he ferociously rushed in. It was incomparably savage and tyrannical. It did not stop at all. It was just like how the power of the Emperor Shen could not withstand it at all. And in fact, that was the case. The power of the Emperor Shen could not block it at all. Just as this dragon was howling through the air, Long Fei was already stunned. It could be seen with the naked eye that the top of Emperor Shen's head had actually begun to float red. 999,999, 999, 999, 9999, 100 million. A series of blood-red numbers instantly appeared in the air. 1 trillion HP? So what? Forget about a trillion, as long as there were numbers, he would definitely die. Ha ha ha, Emperor Shen, it's time for your death. Awesome. Subjugation of the worlds. This is subjugation of the worlds. As long as you are still in ancient world, the blade of the God of Boundary will kill you and kill your dog. Long Fei said coldly. Even Long Fei did not expect this. This time, it was actually so violent. For a time, endless pleasure surged in his heart. He had suppressed this battle for far too long. When they entered the turtle tomb, they could sense the remnants of qi in the air, and they looked at the severely injured disciples of the Mu family. In Long Fei's heart, he held back a sigh of relief. And after that, Long Quang and the others had sacrificed themselves to achieve the power that Long Fei needed. The hatred in Long Fei's heart had already condensed to the limit. But now, his wish finally came true. It erupted at full power. He crushed Emperor Shen in all directions with simple brute force. In the air, the figure of the Emperor Shen was continuously being pushed back as streams of inheritance power bombarded the body of the wild dragon. Berserk Dragon Suppression. A single dragon breath would be able to ignite Emperor Shen's flesh. Impossible. This emperor doesn't believe it. Even the dragon race is crawling at this emperor's feet like a dog. How could a mere method like this injure me? Hey, kill him for me, Emperor Shen roared hysterically, as if he had gone mad. And then, one berserk after another inheritance after another erupted from his hands. Heaven calamity, earth calamity, apocalypse, mysterious heaven punch, all sorts of methods. One by one. But it was useless. This was only Long Fei's skill, it did not have a physical form, as long as Long Fei's holy source value was endless. It will always be there. Moreover, a dragon was the power of the God of Boundary's edge, so it could absolutely crush this world. Even if the Emperor Shen wanted to rely on his own methods, it would be impossible to destroy this skill. In an instant, the wild dragon's town became even more berserk. He had truly displayed his supreme divine might, as well as the power to suppress the world. Boom! Emperor Xian's figure was swept away by the dragon's tail and was immediately sent flying, instantly losing several hundred million HP. Boom! The dragon claw was ferocious, directly enveloping Emperor Xian's figure. His HP suddenly went into a frenzy as he dropped to the ground. Ha ha ha, great! Emperor Xian, is this how you are invincible? This is your Jizuan realm? Come on, continue shouting. Long Fei shouted. At this moment, all the pent-up emotions in his heart were finally vented out. He would take revenge. The suppression of countless space-time and the bearing of eternal hatred could finally end at this moment. It was a feeling that Long Fei couldn't describe in his heart. Boom! The power of the raging dragon continued to be released. Emperor Xian's body also became weaker and weaker. If you have the ability, you can fight me head-on. Emperor Xian roared, and used all of his techniques to push the dragon away. His eyes were bloodthirsty and filled with incomparable madness. However, it was still useless. Puff! Another mouthful of blood sprayed out. Emperor Xian's aura suddenly shook, as though her entire body had lost all of its power, and she instantly collapsed. The blood traces on the top of his head also reached the bottom. Also at this moment, the energy of the dragon gradually became illusory, and then gradually disappeared. Emperor Xian was stunned and joy filled his eyes. Just as he was about to turn around, he saw a huge palm descending from the sky. 5 elements heaven-shrouding palm. Boom! When the palm landed, Emperor Xian's figure was once again crushed. Alright, as you wish. Besides, I have been shrouded in the shadows for so many years. If I can't kill you with my own hands, I won't be willing. And the Dragon Clan, Long family, Mu clan. My father, my mother. Everything, the pain you inflicted on their bodies. Today, I will take it all back with my fists. Long Fei said with bloodshot eyes. Boom! Next, a fist descended. Puff! Emperor Xian's body was drenched in blood which stained the starry sky. But for Long Fei, it was not enough. Boom! Boom! This punch is for myself. Without you, I don't need to go through so much suffering. There won't be any joyous reunion, there won't be more reunions. Boom! This punch was for my father. It's all because of you that he suffered so much in the dragon prison. Even if I have to tear your tendons and skin you alive, it wouldn't be an exaggeration. Boom! This punch is for mother. Boom! 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 This punch is for the Mu clan. This punch is for the sake of the Dragon Clan. This punch is because your father wants to see how you act. I can't remember this punch, but I wanted to hit you. Punch after punch, Long Fei did not seem to be tired. And then, Long Fei punched out. Emperor Xian's HP had finally run out. There was only one last drop of blood left. As long as Long Fei used a little more strength, he would be able to completely kill Emperor Xian. And at this time, Long Fei's eyes burst with a sharp glint. Incomparable decisiveness. Now, Emperor Xian, everything has finally come to an end. Henceforth, there will be no more you in this world, nor Xian nationality. Yes, just lousy. It's all over. Long Fei clenched his teeth, his killing intent contained within every word. There was no other way. This was hatred that seeped into one's very bones. As he spoke, Long Fei's final punch finally landed. Boom! Emperor Xian's figure was completely destroyed by this punch. From head to toe, his entire body had been smashed into countless pieces by Long Fei. Complete death. But right at this moment, a pair of giant hands suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Long Fei's expression froze, and he suddenly raised his head. However, in that instant, his mind was in complete disarray. The firmament of the entire ancient world was replaced by a pair of enormous eyes. These eyes were like the eyes of a god, judging the world. Even Long Fei felt a chill in his heart. I never thought that you would actually kill the Emperor Xian. However, the journey has only just begun. You are far inferior to the Long Batian of all those years ago. An ethereal voice sounded. Then, the pair of large hands began to operate in the void. He gathered the pieces of the Emperor Xian's fragments that were blasted into the air by Long Fei one by one. Long Fei wanted to stop him, but before he could stand up, a tearing feeling came from his body and soul. It was incomparably depressing. In an instant, Long Fei glared at him. One day, I will kill you. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.